Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Tuesday of my career coaching to help you land a job. In this case, specifically is for Amazon because everyone who has shown up are all asking questions around how they can pass the Amazon job interview with the initial recruiter call to technical phones interviewed as well as the panel on site. If you're wondering why this is an Amazon series, is because literally every single person who have showed up, thank you, by the way, everybody for supporting my channel. Very grateful, and it is all because you have a pending interview for Amazon, okay? So if you could please do me a favor, say yes if you guys can hear me, and if you're new to my channel, let me know where you're dialing in from this afternoon and what position you're interviewing for, okay? Your position title, or if you know the level, it would be great so that when I do provide an answer to you, it would be relevant to everybody else around your level, and you'll see why in just a second, okay? Oh, wow. Oh, let me make sure that I am centering myself and looking good for you guys. Oh, hi, everybody. You know, I actually tried to come on a little bit early. I was trying to do something a little fancy in adding music and a timer, but that didn't pan out. So I figured I might as well just show up and not be late. Okay, so if we're meeting for the very first time, my name is Holly Lee. I am a certified career coach. I came from 2 decades of recruiting background. I worked for most of all the major company, but my longest is with Amazon for about 6 years or so. Okay, my passion is to really help senior to executive. My passion is to help everyone. You could even be entry level or intern, or you're just fresh grad out of college. If you look at my YouTube content, it should help you prepared and set the foundation of what behavioral question is. What are the Amazon leadership principles in order to get a job there, and utilize everything that I am sharing with you guys for other employers as well. Okay, not just for Amazon, for everyone else. Okay, cool. So let's get started. I wanted to dive right into questions. I love questions. Hey, by the way, if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification. When you do, YouTube usually remind you as I'm going live, okay? Aside from that, let's start with Pashnan. And if I don't pronounce your name correctly, please do let me know, okay? Pashant says, it's star. I had 2 to 3 scenario drafted in Excel for each principal. Yay! Where's my yay button? Yay! Woo! Every time somebody mentions star, I'm just going to do it. I love it. That's also telling me that Pashnat this is not your first time jumping on my Tuesday Live. You know I talk about the star a lot. Some of you who are new to my channel may get sick of hearing the star methods, but you know, it works. You know, the bottom line is, and I said this in the last Tuesday, and also I'm jumping on Saturday as well on my live, because literally every single day, if not every other day, one of you guys send me a message and say, Holly, my gosh, everything you talk about the star methods and in your tutorial, it works. I just got an offer from Amazon. I am not kidding you. There are so many of that. In fact, some of you, if you're not on here already, you will be joining. I really appreciate that. I've actually asked a couple of them if they can come back and share what are the best practices that have worked for them on the things that I've been preaching to everybody about using the STAR method in creating short story for every one of them. You don't necessarily have 28 examples. If you do, you're in a really good position. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Having a great story is one thing. Being able to articulate and make sense in answering what problem are you trying to solve? How did you solve it? And the end result is huge. Okay? So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Hey, Rob CDU, how are you this afternoon? I'm doing good. I got rid of my son. I'm kidding. I will never get rid of him. I sent him off to his nanny so I can spend 3 hours. I have max of 3 hours today to spend with you guys. I'm applying to some roles, but HR reach out. Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask. Let me check down here. Can you guys hear me okay? So I'm not talking and no one can hear what I'm saying. Let me know in the chat below. Say yes, you can hear me okay. Okay, I'm going to assume it's a yes. And my apologies, guys. I'm still, as you can see, in my fancy hotel room here. My Wi-Fi is slower than a snail. So there is going to be at least a 15-30 second delay. But I will carry on and make sure that I answer all of your questions, okay? If you see me being redundant, that is why, because the Wi-Fi is actually lagging. So if you proceed with other application being on hold and have lose opportunity, if HR is reaching out to you for a different role, it could be a number of things because the HR meaning recruiter. Okay, let's pause for 1 second here. I wanted to, and I know I mentioned this in previous stream before, but for everyone who is new right now, hearing me say this for the first time, there is a big difference between HR and recruiting. So when you mention that HR reach out to you, that's actually the recruiter. What the recruiter's job is, the functionality, my previous long time ago role is, we identify passive or referral candidates to match them into the job qualification because we have a relationship with the hiring manager and the hiring team for that project. Every recruiter at Meson is responsible for the team that they support. For example, my recent project was Alexa platform. So when I reach out to you, all I'm going to talk about is obviously devices, right? Alexa. And I'll talk about the platform that makes the devices function. Okay, that's just an example. HR are professionals who help onboard you, who talks about your benefits. They do nothing of reaching out to candidates to engage them and finding them a job. And they definitely don't talk to you about the hiring process. Okay, so when you're talking to a recruiter or as you're reaching out to them, I don't want to say they're a little sensitive with the word HR because the HR and recruiting functionality is so different. It's kind of like me saying if you're a software engineer and I'm calling you a program manager. So it's kind of like you reaching out to me as an engineer and say, hey, by the way, program manager, can you tell me when the launch date is for this project? So that wouldn't make me feel good. Then I would have to pause and explain what my role is. Okay, so a recruiter's job is the relationship with you. You don't work with anyone in the HR generalist, HR business partner, anything in HR at all whatsoever, unless you are not doing well in your role or you're onboarding, you have questions about benefits. Okay, all right. I just feel like I have to mention that if the recruiter is reaching out to you for a different role, then I would also be honest with the recruiter and ask if the recruiter have seen that you've applied for different position. Are you the right fit? If you missed my live stream from Tuesday, I talked a lot about job description. Okay, you have to ask yourself and ask yourself why the recruiter is calling you for a different role and not the role that you're applying to as well. Does your resume or LinkedIn profile, in this case, if the recruiter is reaching out to you and you didn't even apply, that means they're looking at your LinkedIn profile. Go check out the Power of LinkedIn playlist that I've made. Your LinkedIn is so powerful because, you know, as you're searching through jobs, you have an option to apply with your LinkedIn profile and not even your resume. It's good to have your resume, absolutely, but your LinkedIn is a condensed, concise summary of your credential. So that's probably another factor, okay? Does your credential match at least 75 these days? Let's just say 80% of the job description, okay? Hey, Samir, how are you, Samir? Samir says, thank you for this wonderful, oh, you're welcome. Had my loop on Friday. It went well. Yay! Good job. It takes a lot to make it to a loop or full panel interview at Meson. Especially right now, I feel like the company that can afford and have the budget to hire talent for the organization, the bar is actually higher a little bit, okay? Because they have to really watch what they're spending on, except Amazon, right? This is actually helping them booming their business because of the pandemic, that people are shopping online and virtual, relying on the cloud platform for business and services to to move their businesses. So companies like Microsoft and anyone with cloud services and also e-commerce are making buku bucks right now. Waiting to hear back. Thank you for fantastic videos and online session. Well, you're welcome. Now this is something that I'm doing temporarily for the pandemic for those who are affected by COVID-19. I know how it feels. I was affected myself as well. Okay, I lost a lot of the small corporate clients that I was working with. I'm doing this because I really do want to get you back on your feet again. And if you want to continue coming back, even those who already have a job offer, really appreciate that. It helps my channel grow. Okay, as I'm moving back into my condo, I'm so excited. In 2 weeks, so it's probably going to take me about 3 weeks to build my studio again, where I could have dual monitor. Oh my god, guys, I miss dual monitor so much instead of this 15-inch MacBook Pro, so that I could live stream better and build better content and walking you through and how to create the right professional branding, and also doing some resume review and LinkedIn profile review live like this. I'll get more into mock interviewed, but unfortunately right now it's really hard for me to do any of that with this tiny screen. Okay. Hey Betsy, how are you, Betsy? Good afternoon to you. I did my interview around 2 weeks ago. I received a follow-up email that I have been inclined, and I will receive an offer in a week, but today is already a week. Wow, first of all, congratulations. If you have received positive feedback that you have an offer pending, even though it's 2 weeks, I don't know what is going on, guys. If there's any recruiter who's watching right now, can you please say recruiter on the chat screen or on the comment section? Because I've been receiving so many of these feedback from a lot of the clients that I've been working with, and also you guys and my messages on LinkedIn, that the recruiter basically went silo on you. I'm not really sure why. This is not an Amazon thing at all. In fact, when they roll up the 2 and 5 promise about 2-ish year ago or so, the whole intent of the 2 and 5 is every time when a recruiter engage with you, every 2 business day, that's the 2, within the 5 day period gap, they have to have some kind of feedback or results to you. So it is disappointing to hear. I'm just going to say that because everyone is virtual, and oftentimes from the recruiter background, also recruiting leader, I know this, where you have to hunt the hiring manager down or the team for feedback, okay? Because sometimes people are busy, and if you're interviewing a candidate not for your team, sometimes you have peers interviewing you that are not your future peers in the same group or the same org. I don't want to say they don't care, but it's not their priority to enter your feedback, okay? That is really like the major obstacle as far as why they're not getting back to you with like an offer. Generally, an offer is based on a number of components, right? The hiring manager and the recruiter must have a conversation. The hiring manager and his or her boss, which is an executive, have to approve the offer before the recruiter can engage and run through a rough number with you. And I'm not sure if the recruiter had already asked you, because generally, as I'm prepping my candidate or coaching my directs to do so, the recruiters that used to report to me so long ago, I would coach them to always ask the candidate to learn more about your salary expectation. Basically, what would it take for us to get you a job at Amazon should everything work out right? Okay, if that conversation have not happened yet, it will happen soon. And for all of you who's asking, ask yourself, what is your compensation expectation? Hello, V. Harriet. How are you? Thank you for coming by. Hey, Min PK, how are you? When I speak about myself, can I split into professional and personal info? Like start with a professional experience and end with a quick note about my my narrative and family at the end. No, first of all, I would never talk about family or anything personal in tell me about yourself or why you're interested in this position, right? You could absolutely add personality. The only personal piece is spiking up your personality, right? For example, and I'm totally making this up, guys, okay? If I'm applying for a position in San Diego, to be honest with you, lately I have been looking at different corporate opportunity to integrate my recruiting leadership experience as well as my training and career coach, because I do have family that lives very closely in San Diego. I grew up in California, right? If someone were to ask me, hey, why are you interested in ABC company and you're based in Seattle? And I would just say, well, because first of all, I feel like my background, my years of experience at Amazon as a trainer, also as a recruiting leader, and a lot of that functionality is coaching. I also went above and got certified so that I know the right way to train my customer, which is executive and business partner, being a startup advisor for other corporation as well. I feel like this role, assuming if, let's just say I'm applying for, let's just say a principal for program management in talent or executive coaching, that's what I would go. And then furthermore, San Diego is so beautiful. And as much as I love my family, I don't want to be that close. So they're actually in driving distance from me. And I just wanted to be close to home. That's how I would end it, okay? That is the only piece of personal information I would give the interviewer, because at the end of the day, they don't know you. They're still evaluating you within the 45 minutes that they have. Actually, it's half an hour. The full interview, if you guys haven't noticed, it's scheduled for 45 minutes. But what if they're running late? The first 5, 10, 15 minutes is get to know you, right? Let me tell me about myself. Now let me tell you about yourself, or you should tell me about yourself. And the last 5, 10 minutes is, do you have any questions, right? The reality is your interview is about half an hour or less, okay? So you want to keep it as buttoned up as you can. Like I said, add personality, but no one needs to know too much of the personal aspect of why you want to work, or tell me about yourself. Let me know if that makes sense, guy. Give me a thumbs up or say yes, makes sense, on tell me about yourself. Harriet, I'm just going to call you Harriet, okay? Harriet says, can I use personal experiences as example? How far back should examples be? Is more than a couple of years too old? That's an excellent question. When you say personal experiences, what type of personal experiences? Normally I would say no, do not use personal experience at all. But however, I have to tell a story, because I'm a storyteller. I feel that if you don't have any experience and you're applying for Amazon, this is true story, by the way. I know she's not watching. It was one of my recruiting coordinator 6 years ago. My leader in HR, and she's a fantastic leader. She came to me, this is someone that I trust, and said, Holly, I actually rode the bus with this girl. You have to give her an opportunity. You have to talk to her. So I'm excited, right? Because this is my boss's boss, right? So I said, okay, tell me about her background. Why would she be a great fit in our environment? A, and B, does she have any scheduling or coordinating experience in volume? Of course, she knows the role, right? And she said, no, she doesn't have any of that experience. In fact, she delivered pizza at night. She's putting herself through school. She just finished. And she also worked for a nonprofit where she helps children learn how to read. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So basically what you're trying to tell me is she had the aptitude and she had the aptitude to learn. She has the hunger, the appetites to do whatever it takes. I know that I put upon her, because she had multiple jobs to support herself through school. I'm like, that's interesting. So I said, sure, I want to interview this person. And guess what? When I interviewed her, I wasn't even optimistic, because I knew I was talking to someone who was goal-oriented. I can also tell by what degree she was getting and what she was studying, right? So when I asked her, hey, what do you want out of your life? Because this is someone that's that's no experience, just a regular minimum wage job and multiple of that. I know, because I've been there, and I bet a lot of you guys have been there and could be relatable. So I asked her one question that determined a very solid hire. I mean, it was no-brainer for me. I said, can you tell me about a time? It could be a personal experience, because you don't have any relevant experience, but I wanted to hear what could convince me. Tell me why I should hire someone that had absolutely no experience in a project that my name is on it, where I have to scale. This is consumer. this is consumer hardlines, right? Where I have to build dev center around the world. Should I hire you compared to a lot of the candidates, even internal candidate who's already been at Amazon? What have you done that made you really stood out in your academia and also your career? Even though if it's a minimum wage job, I want to hear your story. I want to hear an outstanding area where you think that makes you pop, that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get things done. And she gave me an example that has nothing to do with corporate, nothing to do with work, but I hire her. I stood up for her, even though the bar raiser says, no, I don't think she's a good fit. Holly, she has no experience. Why do you want to? And then when the bar raiser says no, as a hiring manager, I said yes. And I said, look, listen, this girl is a full-time student. She delivers pizza at night. And because she is obviously restricted with her budget, she took her car apart and fixed her own engine. It took her the entire day. She did it and she was so detailed. She was able to think deep and dive big into how she put everything together. I was so impressed because one part in my life, that's exactly what I did. I didn't fix an engine, but I changed my oil, I changed my brake pads, I've done all of that. So I was so impressed with that. And guess what? That individual is still at Amazon after 5-6 years later, and she's been promoted. Okay, that is an example. So if you're going to give a personal example, it's got to be extraordinary. It's got to be, it's got to be a situation where you dive so deep where it's going to impress the crap out of the interview. Okay, aside from that, I wouldn't go there. Okay, I know it's probably too much for you guys. I have to share that story because every interviewer is very different. And I just share an example where the bar raiser pulled back. But if this is something that I feel strongly on as a hiring manager, I will stand up for the candidate because that's the person that I want on my team, and she was amazing. I almost said her name. Hey, Alicia, how are you? Happy Tuesday to you. Hey, Ricardo, welcome back. Ricardo says, June 5th had the first phone interview. I love that you tell the story all over again. Thank you so much. Because every week there are new people on here that don't know you guys, don't know the position you're interview for, as well as the level. So when you're doing that, it's allowing them to pay more attention if it's similar role and level as them. Okay. You have the first phone interview with the hiring manager for a senior program manager, which is an L7. If you're an individual contributor, that would be a principal. Okay. Interview went well. Presentation. 2 behavioral questions and 5 questions I did. Well, it sounds like you did really well. I've scheduled a second phone interview next Thursday with the HR senior manager. So I can't tell you that if this is common that there are first and second phone interview. Normally that is not the case. I could be wrong because I've left Amazon for about 2 years ago. But in general, when they ask you to come back for a second or third phone interview, it's because they needed more information from the first interview that they didn't get. Okay? And if I were you, I would, well, first, you always want to leverage the recruiter. If the recruiters can't help you, think of the type of question that was being asked in the first phone interview. And what could you have done better? That maybe was reason why they wanted to talk to you again prior to moving forward to a panel interview, which is the on-site. Okay? Hey, Nancy. Welcome back. Nancy from Boston. Congratulations for making it to the loop. Nancy, can you please share with us any tips or strategies to help those who are very nervous right now to calm down their nerve that are going through the first phase, which is a technical or the phone interview? And what if there's any tip at all and how you prep for the on-site interview to make it to the loop, please do share that, okay? Well, you're welcome. Well, thank you so much for coming back every week. The last step is your story. Your story is really important. For all of you guys who have any kind of interview, not just on-site, but even a phone screen, prior to that, the reason why I like to, the funny thing is, the time that I was a recruiter at Amazon, that's a really long time ago when I was an IC, and even with my team, coaching the candidate to have short story wasn't really a big thing back then. It's so long ago. But now, ironically, now it is. It sounds like I'm really copying what the internal recruiters are doing, but they're smart, right? My process and my strategy is what I think it makes sense the most. Okay, the recruiters, and this is just getting feedback from the clients I've been working with, coaches, you guys, especially for the on-site, to keep your story to 2 to 3 minutes. Never do that. Keep it to a minute or shorter if you could. We talked about this before, especially when you've come around for about 3 times now, Nancy. And I know that some of my clients are on right now. Literally, we did their story in 30 seconds or less. And during that sessions, I asked about 5 different probing questions. We can easily take up 5 to 10 minutes for each and every for each and every question. Okay, so that is the fact. You want to leave time for the interviewer to allow more probing questions. Your story, just keep it short, keep it concise. Don't make it perfect. Just put something on there rather than not doing it at all. Put something on there and work backward in how did you, what problem did you already solve? And let's just work backward. How did you do it? Okay, then tell me about the situation, the content. What are you trying to say here? So just like having any conversation with people, right? You want to tell them what is the subject matter that you're trying to say and what problem are you solving, but don't ever forget about the result, okay? The result, it's best if you have things with number on it. Like you saved the company 20% year over year, right? If you're a recruiting professional, I was able to, true story, I was able to meet the 18, was it 21%? I can't remember. Diversity goal, I think it was like 15 at the time, and mine was 18 or 21, right? I was able to exceed diversity goal for the Alexa org, right? Like that. So if you have number and percentage, that made you stand out almost immediately, right? Because that usually always get the person attention. Hey, Azzy. Thanks for being here. Once the panel interview is done, how long would it take them to make a decision? Would they notify the candidate either way or only if an offer? They will always notify, well, I hope they would, right? I shouldn't speak on behalf of Amazon. Again, it really depends on the recruiter and the recruiting manager who's running the recruiting team, right? But in theory, not just Amazon, is all company. Their job is to get back to you whether you get the job or not. In respect to the candidate's time, I would always coach my team to call every single person that had made the time in spending half a day for the on-site interview. Okay? At least that's my style. If it's a phone screen, then you could send an email for rejection. But in respect to the candidate that you spend half a day with the company, they usually would give you a call and let you know that they're not moving forward. I'm sorry, guys. Could you guys hear that buzz? The hotel is going through remodeling right now, so if you hear a buzz, tolerate with me. We can do this together, and we'll just move on. Okay? I hope that answered your question, Ozzy. Somebody will get back to you. Hello, Alicia. On the interview schedule, would it say the bar raiser is a bar raiser? No, they will never say the bar raiser is a bar raiser. Because the intent of the bar raiser is to be unbiased, so they will never let you know who the bar raiser is. But it's very simple, okay? I don't know if the bar raiser would appreciate me sharing this with you. It's very easy to figure out what the bar raiser is. Sometimes they come off a little bit more subtle. Sometimes they don't know too much about the role, okay? For example, if you were to ask the bar raiser, what is your expectation for this position? Where do you see this position being successful with Amazon, right? They may not be able to answer that, and that's how you know it's a bar raiser, because they're not from the team. A bar raiser is someone that's outside of the team interviewing you to make sure that you are meeting the bar as the better than 50% of the people who's at Amazon, okay? And you will get their first name. I don't know if you would get their first and last name. It's been a long time for me, but you will usually have the position title as well. And you can kind of tell based on the group that they're in, and this will come up in an interview, right? Can you tell me about yourself? What group are you in? And I would love to learn what made you successful being at Amazon. You can ask them that questions. It's tell me about yourself, right? So you're basically throwing that question back at them so you know to cater your questions around your audience. But in general, everyone in your panel should know exactly what the hiring manager is looking for. Hey, Oliver, welcome back. I like your hair color. It's a little purplish blue. I did my final interview last week. Congratulations for making it that far. They're extending an offer to another candidate. The recruiter told me that interviewers loved me and wanted to see me at Amazon. What does that mean? They're not moving forward with you, but they really like you. She will circle back in a month or so. What should I do in between? Well, if they're going to make a comment like that, did they provide any feedback as to why the offer is given to another candidate and not you? And would they be able to refer you to a different team? I would challenge the recruiter that. And you also said, I know if you see me doing this, guys, because with YouTube, there's a 200 character limit, so it will not allow you to do all of your messages at once. The recruiter told me that I have to do all the interview rounds again if there's another opportunity that comes up. Will my previous interview notes count? Of course, every time when you interview for Amazon or any employer, your notes are in their ATS system, their application. Their application tracking system. Okay, so it sounded like there are some areas that you didn't do well. Let me just be more transparent. There are some areas that you didn't do well. That's why they decided to go with a different candidate. This is kind of sucky because if I were to give you that statement that we're not moving forward with you, but we'd like to follow up with you in a month, I would let you know a little bit more about the areas that we would like to see you better on for a different role. We may have more opportunity, Oliver. I'd like to re-engage you in a month. In the meantime, I would love to share your feedback as well as your background with other team to see if you're a possible fit. I would have gone through that route because you can't open up and make a comment like that and not provide more detail to somebody. And all of you guys should know that I'm very raw with my feedback and there's no sugarcoating anything. I'm here to help you, not to tell things that you want to hear. Hey, Garmin. Garmin says, the rising YouTube star. You're so funny. Thank you for your amazing content. I have my second phone screening interview tomorrow. Tam is talent. It's not talent. I'm thinking recruiting here. TAM is technical account manager. It could also be talent acquisition manager. It could be two things. One is recruiting manager. The other one is basic on the sales biz dev team. I'm preparing. Well, it sounds like you have been following me. Thank you so much for your support. Just don't forget your story, okay? And for those of you who have not already, I'm gonna do this right here. It's halsey.com/Phoebes. Okay, I just put a link in the chat in the very bottom. It's my direct link to my website. It's halsey.com/freebies. Every template that I've ever made is on there. There's no catch. You don't even have to subscribe to anything. But however, if you want to receive notification for my weekly live stream like this or my future training, the update means everything. It's generally free, especially during the pandemic. Make sure you subscribe to not miss on any of my update. Okay, so the link is below. If you have not already and don't know what I'm talking about with the STAR template, it's on there. I'm also going to go back and do a STAR method template 2.0, and everything I talk about is based on my personal experience to help you. Okay? So use my template, and also the 60-second elevator pitch template is very, very important. Okay? That's trying to teach you how to be concise, to repeat yourself and practice and memorize, and that's how you can provide an answer in 60 seconds or less. Okay? All right. And of course I've lost my spot here. Oh, here you go. And Garmin says, can you tell me if it's okay to mention my past freelancing projects? Also, the recruiter asked me to focus on learn to be curious, earn trust, ownership, and customer obsession to the result. That's great that the recruiter is telling you what leadership or core value to study. Now, keep in mind, a lot of that is you can answer your questions and hit all of the leadership principle, right? Because a good answer should be always having a customer in mind. And again, the STAR method, the way how I have been preaching to you is at the end of the STAR message is your result. So right there, you're hitting delivering result. Learn and be curious is really a time that you take initiative to learn something to benefit your team or your end customer without anyone telling you. So give an example of that. And if you could, it's also earning trust, right? Most of everything that you are going to answer has customer obsession, earn trust, and ownership, right? You have to. If you don't have ownership in environment at Amazon, it's just gonna kill you. All right. You could absolutely talk about your freelance projects. Just like myself, I have my own business. I've done freelance project before where I've done executive coaching. I was a trainer. I did a talk for Microsoft late last year before all the madness happened. You can if the role is relevant. Okay, guys? Make sure when you share your consultant or freelance work or anything like that, it is relevant. Hey, Swan. Swan says, how long will Amazon recruiter get back to you about phone interview resulting from the hiring manager? It is normal to wait for more than 2 days. Yeah, it's very, very normal because a lot of the time, unless the hiring manager is really excited and they fall off their chair because they're so excited of your answer, they will almost immediately or within like 24 hours to get back to the recruiter and say, hey, I'm really excited about this candidate. Let's move on to on-site. Or if I have doubt, let's move on to a second phone screen. I need to find out more about their background in these area. Okay? It's very, very common for more than 2 days because as they're done and they're excited about you, they need to interview another candidate for a different team, if not their own. And people who are at Amazon, they're basically bombarded with meetings throughout the entire day because every single thing you do at Amazon as far as your scope is global. There's no such thing that you're only supporting like a Seattle or the local office. It's everything, right? That is why also they're jumping on different time zone, having to present meeting. Sometimes it could be really scattered if they don't prioritize and put writing feedback, especially the hiring manager, as a priority. I hate to say this, but not all managers are on top of their stuff. Okay? It is common. Hey, Gloria. Welcome back, Gloria. Well, you're welcome. Look forward to your question. Hello, Vanish. Hey, Rockstar. I think this is your first time. Unless this is a nickname that I don't recognize. Hey, Vanish. Hi, Tracy. How are you? Drop down your questions if you have any for me, okay? Hello, Renee. I know. So on Saturday, I was just so excited that I was able to have some alone time. This is actually alone time for me, guys. I actually really enjoy doing this. I love my son to death, as you all know, for those who are parents. But sometimes I just need my mommy time. I mean, in a normal circumstances, I would love to go get a facial or go take a run or do some yoga. But because we're still in the middle of chaos, this is what I love to do. I'd rather just continue pumping out content, hanging out with you guys. It's actually very, very meditative for me, believe it or not. I know. I mean, it's a joy just being here, hanging out, and helping other people. Hey, Alawa. Good to see you again. Hey, Manip. Nice background lighting. Thank you. I actually don't do that much. Hey, if you guys are curious about video interviewing and have to show up like this, go check out my video interview playlist. There's only 3 video. I actually have a content creator who does similar things than what I do, but he's focusing on gear. It's on there as well. But I basically walk behind the scene and show you everything that I'm using, okay? And I talked a little bit about that last week as well. The light and the background will be better once I have my office back. Good evening, Irvana. Hey, Garmin. Hi, Sweetie. Hi, Asim. How are you? Renee says, I got an invitation for the writing exercise, but the invitation is similar to the assessment link. Is it time? The writing, now, is this the same Renee as my Renee from the Patreon? I want to say yes, but lately I've been getting a lot of similar name. First and last name, it could be very common. I want to make sure I'm addressing to the right audience here. So the writing exercise is not time, writing exercise is when you're interviewing for a level 6 or above, or you are a people manager, okay? Absolutely, if it's a level 6 above, you should be expecting that if you pass the phone interview. Generally, it's really a take home. They send you an email, they give you 2 questions, and you pick one that's more relevant to you and you write about it. It's generally about 2 to 4 pages. Just like how I like to keep my elevator pitch to a minute or less, just keep it to 2 pages if you can, or less, okay? More than 1 pages, 2 pages max if you can, okay? And I just mentioned it a little bit earlier. There's a lot of questions around, I haven't heard back from the recruiter, I haven't heard back from the hiring manager. What is going on? They told me I'm doing well and I have no answer. Well, that's because they're busy. So when you're interviewing a level 6 and above for people manager, everybody reads your writing example prior to interviewing you for the on-site interview or the panel loop, the final stage, okay? If they have any hesitation regarding the offer package, or let's just assume that you negotiate, you want a lot more money, right? The hiring manager most likely will go back and reread the notes, especially your writing example, your writing exercise, to see if you're really at the level and the bar they're hiring you for. Because at level 6 at Amazon, do a lot of writing. Proposal, if you have something important to talk about, you put it in a paper, and that could be 20, 30 pages. Okay? I don't know if you have seen my Amazon writing exercise video. That was about 3 weeks ago. Go check that out, okay? And if this is the same Renee in my Patreon, after when you're done with that, I'm more than happy to glance it through for you. Irvana is from Poland. Thank you for spending time with me in Poland. Hey Camilla, welcome back. Hello, Adula. I think this is your first time. Garmin is from Germany. Germany's in the house. I love seeing more and more European audience. Hey, Soraya. I'm in Hollywood, Florida. Happy to be here with you. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Hey, Elio. LA. I just mentioned about moving back to Southern California, or actually San Diego, would be specific. I spent many years and actually grew up went to elementary school and junior high in Los Angeles County. Hey, gang. Are you a gamer, gang? Just judging by the photo. I'm new to the channel, and this is Kim. Oh, hey! You reached out to me on LinkedIn. I'm interviewing for partner manager GSI, a new position at Amazon. That's the thing. Amazon is like booming. They're hiring like crazy. There are groups and teams that I've never even heard about, such as this one. Look forward to your question. Hey, Swang, how are you? Of course. Sinyan says, what will be the technical scenario for a TAM role in Amazon? When you say TAM, can you please identify, is this a technical account manager or is this a talent acquisition manager? Because that's 2 different things. Okay, I'm going to assume that it's a technical account manager position because you said technical scenario. That is, if you're thinking about account manager, the technical part is first of all, pause for a second, look at the job description. What are the technical environments that you'll be getting yourself into, right? If you read the job description, it will say I'm assuming in AWS, you'll be supporting, ABC cloud, solution. That is really the technical environment, right? Then you need to share your experience being exposed in those environments. And also you'll be partnering with, let's just say, engineering or solution architect in an environment that is Python and so on and so forth. You don't expect to code or anything like that. A TAM role, a lot of the time, is pretty similar to a technical evangelist, which means you know how to speak the language. You don't need to do the language, right? You don't have to code. You don't need to architect the cloud platform to see what it looks like, but you need to know the fundamental of that environment because you are living and breathing in your collaboration around that, okay? And guys, I have to hold my, I'm holding this very close to me right now because the noise level is really loud with the construction up there. So let me go ahead and do this. I want to make sure that the sound is coming straight from me and not around. Okay? Let me know if I've answered your question, Sungjin. Hey, Rockstar. I'm from India. Hello, India in the house. I've been referred for posts of business analyst and brand development associates. I feel like there's more to this question. Oh, from the Bay Area, Swang. Yes, I grew up in Silicon Valley as well. I've lived over the entire California, and my heart is still in San Francisco. It's just not really a great place to raise a young kid. Hey, Yanizo. I have been interviewed for logistics scheduler. Scheduler, but is not a common position. That is true, is not a common position to be posted on the internet. Can you suggest the most behavioral questions for this? First of all, the commonly asked questions are all listed on my Amazon Leadership Principle playlist. It's all on there. For those who are my clients, you know that is the fact, because I've literally used the same questions, doesn't matter what role you're in, and twisted around that, right? For example, tell me about the most complex problem that you've solved, right? You can be a scheduler, you can be an engineer, you can be a TAM, you can be an operation manager, an area manager. I wanted to know if you've solved problem that is complex and that is similar to the Amazon environment, okay? And I would love to know, how many customers, not how many customers, who were your customers in your previous experience? What are, when I say complex problem, I want to hear things like an area where maybe you didn't have enough data and you didn't have enough information. What did you do to take the initiative and went above and beyond to figure out what is needed for the business or the executive that you've supported or team that you've supported, and what was the end result? And of course, the end result is generally positive, right? Tell me a story around that. Okay. Was for me, I would also wanted to know, I want to learn more about your environment. How many business team do you support? What happens if, I need to book an offsite for 100 people, and that's all the information that I have, because everything else is pending right now, because oftentimes Amazon moves really fastly. You are not, I'm going to repeat myself, you're not going to have all the information. So let's just say that, I need to book even a virtual event like this, right, for 100 people, and I need it on this day and this time, go, right? How would you do that? What type of questions would you be asking as a candidate, right? So those are some of the questions that I would ask as an interviewer. Hey, Aleo. Aleo says, and by the way, since this is live stream, there's no way for me to edit the sound in the background. If I do, I will lose all of the engagement, and also every questions that you guys have on here would be erased. That's one of the reasons where I would rather show up not being perfect and deliver the impact for you guys than to try to make everything perfect, because that's just a waste of time. Lebanon, applying for senior business intelligence engineer level 6 in Luxembourg. Wow, that's awesome. There's quite a few BI engineer lately. First time. Oh, hello, Bella. Thank you. First time. Woo. Hoping for a recruiting role. Oh, nice. Amazon is hiring like crazy right now. If you are wanting to be in a recruiting role, are you a sourcer or are you a recruiter? Okay, for a lot of these roles, oftentimes these days, especially if you are a full lifecycle recruiter or a sourcer, you'll be asked to Boolean search. Okay, and if you're a recruiter, you'll understand exactly what I mean by Boolean search. Hey, Costanza, good to see you again. Costanza says, I've been doing the prep work in the last 10 days. Video interview with the hiring manager is on Friday. Best of luck to you. I can't cross my finger. Fingers crossed to you. Any tips for EA position? Many thanks. I've actually recently worked with 2 EA as my clients. So what I've done with them is we actually create short stories around the leadership principle. I picked my top 10 questions, and then I've also listed raw question, which is my probing question. Okay. At the end of the day, what I've done is I basically tore her resume apart in asking, basically very similar to the example I've just given to the logistic scheduler. Very, very similar, right? Aside from just scheduling and supporting your executive, by the way, who are your customer? You can't just say, is it a director? Is it a CEO? How many of them do you support? Okay. And if you guys are here, the EAs, the last couple of them, do share your feedback on here and what had helped. So the individual that I have helped with the same format of using the STAR method in creating short story, they're actually moving on to an on-site interview right now. Okay, so you just need to really, it's more of aptitude of wanting to dive deep, because as an EA, you don't have information presented to you. You're not, especially in the tech industry with big company. Okay, so if you're given little information, how would you, what step would it take for you to solve a problem with limited amount of data? That is huge for an EA. Okay, and how do you manage multiple projects at the same time? That's not part of the commonly asked question. That's just a Holly Lee questions. I would if I'm interviewing you. Okay, and I also wanted to know, I would love to hear a time where you have made a mistake, and what could you have done to prevent that mistake, and what did you learn from it? That question is probably for all the position, especially for an EA, because EA has so many functionality that's on their plate. I know this because I work with a lot of them, and even my recruiting coordinator, partially they're EA in their own way, right? They're scheduling, and also some of the EA, they're helping coordinate recruiting event. They're doing conferences, they're doing trade show, they're doing traveling, they're doing PowerPoint presentation, putting it together for the executive team, right? There's a number of things that EA does at Amazon. Let me know if I've answered your question. Hey, Alua, oh, you would think for the third time I would do it correctly. Just let you know, I successfully passed the first virtual interview yesterday, talent manager position. Nice! Next up is having 5 virtual interviews in one single day. Used to be one side part. Congratulations! Yay! Thank you for sharing. Good luck to you. Hey, Betsy. Betsy says, I received an answer that I have been inclined to the assistant manager position. I will receive an offer in a week, and I know that they send the email to another applicant. How do you know they also send an email to another applicant? So if you are inclined to move forward, it sounded like you have a pending offer. It doesn't matter how many pending offer they have. Normally, from the moment they say that there's an offer for you, it does take at least a couple days, if not a week, because everything has to be approved through the authority, right? On the business side, and as well as like the HR leader or the HR business partner have to see it. The finance have to approve it. So it does take some time. Okay. But the bottom line is, at the very least, within the 1 week time frame, you should already know what the offer package looks like with the recruiter. I believe you also reached out to me about this. Thank you so much. I love hearing this stuff. Hey, Taran. Taran says, is this cool? I found you live right now when I saw just looking around. Oh, that's awesome. So excited to have you on my you're so funny. Thank you. So if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, you want to do that, because YouTube does tell you as I'm going live. YouTube does not send you a calendar, nor do I. It's impossible, because I have different viewer every single week, right? I have, I think I have about 45 subscribers right now, and most of them don't even know that I'm going live because they don't hit the notification bell. Okay, that's the power of that. And when I leave my link to my freebie template, there is a pop-up that says, are you interested to receive a weekly notification from me? So make sure you fill in your information. Okay, I don't spam you. That's not my style. My style is to make sure that you show up. If not, there's no point for me to be here. When in hotel, make sure you grab yourself Starbucks instant coffee. Hey, Hassan. Hassan says, calling from UK, applying for data center project engineer, passed my first phone interview. Yay! I will not get sick of any of this when anybody passes an interview. I need a different like ding ding bell for offer. Okay. Hey, Camilla. Camilla says, I have an interview on the 19th on L6 position in learning and development, and my first interview is not with the hiring manager. That's pretty common. It's not always with the hiring manager. Is with the head of the area. Is this normal? Yes, absolutely, right? That means the manager probably want to save the best for last. You generally, the first interviewer is somebody that has a lot more experience, where they want to know if you could really walk the talk. I used to work walk the talk a lot because you really do have to walk the talk at Amazon. They do not want to waste their time or yours, so they want to make sure that you have solid, or I should say strong experience in creating, I'm assuming, documentations, material for training and development for your past employer. Okay, and wanted to hear how you could do all of that even from scratch, because that's really what you're doing at Amazon. You're building programs, and you're building a lot of these sessions for different topic, different subject expert matters. Okay, it's very, very common. And you know what? It's probably a good thing that your bosses, the future bosses interviewing you. If you can pass this phone interview and get his or her thumbs up, then you're 60% away from getting the job offer. Let me know how that goes. Hey, Vanish. Vanish says, can you describe the on-site interview for Amazon? Go check out my Amazon on-site live Q&A. This is 2 weeks ago. If you go to Amazon interview tips Q&A, that's a playlist, right? If you go on there, I list all the questions out. By the way, all of you guys, I list all of the questions and answer to the link. It takes you right to the link, but I actually made a thumbnail. Thumbnail is a photo that says Amazon on-site process. Okay, I made there were just so many questions that week on the process. And I know that a lot of you are here, and I don't want to be redundant. Go check out that live stream. Okay, just click on the question. Hey, Rockstar. Rockstar says, I've been referred. Oh, I think. Oh, that is weird. It just kind of jumped up. I already answered this. That is pretty weird. Gang says. For public sector AWS, is there, if there are multiple candidates and we are acing the behavioral questions equally, what determines the winner? That is an excellent question. First of all, never assume that you're the only candidate. That never happens on Amazon. Usually they will leave the position open forever until the budget is cut or someone else needs the open headcount, meaning needing the role. They will leave the position open until they find the right candidate. Okay, and that's the winner. The right candidate is not about asking questions, is how your experience is relevant to the role that they're hiring you for. Are they going to invest their time training you? How much time would you need to come up to speed? If the other candidate could provide their example, not just behavioral questions, but their previous work, right? Those are the winner because they require little time to come up to speed. Okay? What are the rounds for refresher? The round is also in my Amazon process. That is literally last week. Go look at last week's stream. It will say Amazon on-site process and actually walk you through the whole thing. Management is the same thing as well. Okay? My hand is getting heavy holding this microphone. Can you guys let me know in the bottom if you could still hear me okay, and the noise in the background is not bothering you? Hey, Taryn. Taryn says, do you have another live like this for Google? Are you interviewing at Google? Well, this live is not just for Amazon. I just happen to have everyone asking me Amazon question. This live is for all company. I I did work for Google for 2 years. What do you want to know? Just ask me. What do you want to know about Google? Put your questions on. It could be for Google, Microsoft, Facebook, startups. It doesn't matter what company you're interviewing for, not just specifically for Amazon. Put it on here, and I will cater towards the answer based on those environment, because the process is completely different. Google in general is very academic focused on the interview process versus Amazon is very hands-on, wanting to make sure that you can do the job they're hiring you to do. Okay. Let's go with Vanish. Vanish says, I watch a video and use star method to go through my phone interview. Yay! I need a star animation popping up. Manip says, I frequently see answers to sample LP questions. With example from management background or marketing, where can I see template for a technical position LP questions? You can find a lot of that on Glassdoor. I know, because I do this almost every day with my clients. Specifically, if you are an engineering manager, a technical program managers, any kind of managers, there are a ton on Glassdoor. Go to Glassdoor and type your position title and then click on interview feedback. If you go down there, look for your positions and click on it, and boom, it's all right there. Okay, there will be a tutorial that's coming in July. Once I have my life back with my dual monitor, I'll walk you guys through. Okay, that's why, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my business site so I can send you an invitation. And I need to make sure that I'm also going to put those specific tutorial into 2 separate dates and time, because it takes a lot of time to put together. I want to make sure that the right audience are there. If not, it's pointless for me to do it. All right. And also, the bottom line is, for technical positions, the commonly asked questions is for all position. Okay. And the technical part is, it's based on the job descriptions and based on your position. Okay. And if you are a technical manager for like engineering, for example, you need to know how to architect the system, how to break it apart and put it together, because those are your direct reports. How are you going to coach and mentor your staff if you can't do it yourself? Okay, that's just an example. This noise is bugging me. I'm wondering, how will the video interview for military pathway program look like, as my expectation doesn't cover some areas, no customers. First of all, I must say that I have no experience with any military program or team or role or whatsoever. But if you don't have any customers, I don't believe that, because if you're from military background, what was your functionality there? Sometimes a lot of the professionals forget that internally, those are your customers, right? What programs were you building? Who's using them? If the military folks are using them, that is your customer. It's end user, right? Your customers are your end user. So there's got to be more meat to this. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I know there's a delay, but I really miss my 1 terabyte Wi-Fi. Hoping to have that in the next 2 live. Oh yeah, 2 live from now, I would be back, and at least it's a little bit more engaging. So bear with me here. Ricardo says, best practice, handwrite your examples so that you can remember them easily. Ensure you have the data to explain details. Thank you, Ricardo, whom passed your phone interview. And I mentioned this in my 60-second elevator pitch. Handwriting is very different than typing, because once you type, you could be typing, for example, half a sentence, and you get distracted with your ping, your Facebook, I don't know what you guys do, your kid pulling on you or throwing things on you. So when you're writing it down, even if you stop, you can see where you stop. And then for some reason, your mind is just there. And if you have to erase and do it again, you start all over again. Don't just continue, but start all over again. The more you do it, the more you memorize that. And that's how you're able to create your long story, condense it, because you know exactly what you've done. Thank you, Ricardo, for sharing that. Renee says, I use one of the biggest stories for the phone screen, a big program multi-project. Can I repeat it for the loop? No, do not do that, my friend. When you already have that, don't do that, because like I've mentioned in every live stream, all the interviewers will be sharing their feedback. You just don't want them to share the same example. You could share an example, however, with that project, but differently, right? For example, if you share an example where your biggest career achievement or highlight for this multi-project, that's great. You can share the same scenario. Tell me about the time you have failed. What could you have done to be better? You can talk about the same scenario, but it is different, right? So you're trying to pick out certain part to talk about it, but not the exact same scenario and the same results. You do not want to go there. Let me know if that makes sense. Hey, Elio. Elio says, my first phone interview is with an HR business partner next Monday. What should I expect from the first interviewer? And what should come next if all goes well? Well, if all goes well, the HR business partner, by the way, I love all the HR business partner that I had an opportunity to work with. My first boss was actually a leader for the HR business partner, and she was amazing. And till this day, we're great friends. They generally wanted to evaluate to see if you're a great fit into the environment, if you have the experience to partner with the business team. Okay, so your ability to collaborate, partner in partnership, and your communication is huge with this. Before this individual will recommend you for the on-site interview. Good luck. You're welcome. Let's see. Betsy says, I received an answer that I've been inclined a week. I know that they sent an email. Oh, that is weird. Just jump back to the ones that I have already answered. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Mobile Jones. Mobile Jones says, Tech recruiter connected on LinkedIn and pitch jobs. See what I'm saying, guys? It's all about your LinkedIn profile. Let the recruiter come to you and get noticed. Don't apply to a position. A recruiter loves to hunt, because we believe that if you're truly good in what you do, you shouldn't have to apply to a job. We want to go look for you. Even with internal referral, they're not always good. 80-90% of them don't even make it past the process. So the best talents to hire are the ones that we actually go and find you based on what you put on your LinkedIn profile that will allow the recruiters to locate you, which is the power of LinkedIn playlist. Go check that out, everyone. What should I say to be positive but not available now but interested? Simply just tell them that, okay? If you're not available right now, simply just tell them that I'm actually not in the market right now. I'm working on a project that needed my attention, but I would love to stay in touch and learn more about the expectation for the role that you're calling me for. That way, you wanted to maintain your relationship with the recruiter. A good recruiter would always want to have you in the radar if the phone conversation goes well and they're respectful, because you're loyal to your employer. Hey, Fadi. Fadi says, I have a question. Can I answer my question for the on-site interview, which I used to telephone? No, absolutely not. Do not ever repeat the same question. Oh, Yanizo have an interview tomorrow. Can everybody please wish her luck for her interview tomorrow? Online by 3 different people for logistics scheduler, but it's not a common. Okay. That is so weird, though. It's not just a lag, but my comments are jumping, guys. I promise you guys, I haven't done anything different. I'm basically scrolling through, and this is what happened when your Wi-Fi is slow. Hey, Jay. Jay says, I had Loop today and was mentioned. I hear back in 5 days as per Amazon's recruiting policy. Yep. Nice photo, by the way. Hey, Ashma. Hey, Natish. Natish says, what is the interview process for business development associates at AWS? What kind of questions do they have? There are actually quite a few biz dev interview tips. I'm doing this because my shoulder is really aching because my kid slept on it the entire night. So it's so bothersome that I have to do this. I'm still paying attention to you guys. So go check out the Amazon leadership. The Amazon interview tips playlist, and then go to Biz Dev interview tip. There's quite a few that's already on there. Okay, so basically, it's your business development background, and a lot of the questions, as I mentioned, are very similar to the commonly asked interview questions. Obviously, you have to come with some level of sales background as well in how you. How you earn trust, or how do you earn trust of others, and ways that you have gone through in providing a service to your customers without them knowing. Those type of questions, okay? So it is really your ability to communicate and collaborate, which is really huge because you're a biz dev. So that's what the sales and marketing department really rely on, although I've never worked at AWS, okay? It's pretty similar in consumer as well. Hey, Samp. What happens if you have a lowball offer from Amazon, and how should you handle it? I know negotiate, but any advice? Well, first of all, how do you know if it's a lowball offer? Secondly, prior to the recruiter giving you an offer, you and the recruiter should already be on the same page of what is your comp expectation. Okay, I should tell you guys this for those who are not aware. Amazon is not the best paying company. It is not. If you want to make more money, if your intent is money, go to Google and go to Facebook, because they do pay a lot more. People go to Amazon and chose Amazon because of the work that they're able to impact right away and ownership. Okay, if you have Amazon on your resume, basically you will be attracting to your future employer, because everybody know that spending even 2 years at Amazon is 10 years at a Google or Facebook. True story. Because the things that you build, the things that you build and your ability to scale is unlimited. I mean, I just talked about, as a level 6 and above, you have to write 20-30 pages proposal. At a company like Facebook and Google, you don't even do that, okay? So your experiences are very different. At the end of the day, I do agree with the Amazon recruiters. Sometimes we can't always give you the money that you want, because Amazon doesn't focus on giving you high compensation. They do try to take care of you based on sign-on bonuses, okay? And no one makes more than a certain amount in Seattle or in New York or in the Bay Area or in like India or Europe. So there's a gap. Amazon has a gap because their stock is crazy. Okay, a lot of individuals such as myself, you have to hold on to your equity and then cash it when the time is appropriate for you. But it's very different. It is an opportunity for you to grow your career. Okay, the money will come. You have to be with Amazon for at least 4 years to be fully vested. But if your intention is money, oftentimes that's also a red flag for a corporation like an Amazon, because they don't, the way how, and I'm not saying this because I am what's the word I'm trying to use here and trying to be politically correct. I'm not trying to be positive for Amazon, right? But if you guys really think big here, Amazon own most of all the industry, right? I mean, when everything goes down and when there's an outbreak, they're still the remaining company that's doing crazy hiring, and they're making billions of dollars out of this scenario, this uncertainty time, right? There's a reason for that, because a lot of the money that Amazon does have, they spend it on products, projects, the customer service, obsessing over all of us who are customers to make it better, and constantly buying more startups to help them expand, to cater towards the consumer, okay? So if you're asking a company like that to give you more and go on an exception, they will do it, but you have to have a very very strong interview feedback in order for them to go there. And sometimes they just can't do it, because if they do, you would have no growth, and you're probably never going to get an increase, because that's maxing out your comp. So again, Amazon is not a company. If you're coming from a big company going into an Amazon, you're probably going to take a pay cut, okay? If not a lateral move. But however, if you're coming from a startup or mid-sized company, sometimes you're also going to take a pay cut too. But primarily for startup, you're probably going to see a percentage of increase. Okay, so it's all depending on what you want, what your priorities are, and how you negotiate with the recruiter. Don't be that person, guy. Don't be that person that you don't tell the recruiter how much you make. You have no expectation. The recruiter, wasted a week or 2 weeks of the time getting the best offer in the Amazon standard, right? And the hiring manager and the VP is so excited for you to join, and boom, you decided that you want more money. If not, you just won't sign the offer. Don't be that person. That's why if you have a certain expectation, I would advise for you to share that with the recruiter. Mobile Jones, Senior Development Manager with the learning team of employee services. I would like to consider for full prep for interview Amazon, FYI. If you have questions and interested in my services, all of you guys, is actually listed on my business page, the link that I just painted on the very bottom. If you go to home, it is my interview accelerator, where I spend 3 hours with you. I mean, I've spent 6 hours with a client just yesterday. It takes a really long time. If you work with anyone who would take an hour coaching, it doesn't work. I don't know how it works with different role, but I can't imagine it to work, especially for tech companies, especially for if you want to go work for a really big giant, okay? It's going to take 2 hours just creating your story. And once you have that, let's rehearse and do mock interview and rehearse interview, so you sound good and you can pass my interview before I let you go. And on top of answering all of your questions as well, and teaching you how to be confident and show up well, it's going to take at least 3 hours. Generally, it's always over 3 hours, but if you're interested in that and to work with me, my information is on my website. It's the Interview Accelerator, and you'll be working with me. Okay? Hey, Pio. Pio says, ciao, Holly. Your activity is almost amazing. Thank you. Hey, Vanessa. How do you, by chance, do you know by chance how is Amazon dealing with relocating people and helping with work permits during this COVID period? I did really well in the interview, but I was put on hold due to this. That's an excellent question. Generally, outside of COVID-19, Amazon have no problem with permits, sponsoring your H-1B, your EAD, which is green card, student visa, F1 visa, TN visa. It doesn't matter. Amazon does it all. In fact, they have a premium process. But because of COVID-19, I can kind of understand, because everything Amazon does is based on escalation, as in product have to launch and go live right away. They probably want to evaluate the candidate who doesn't require a permit, because if they were to make an offer to you and hire you, they want you to start almost immediately, right? Versus if they have to go through permit, normally it takes like another month or longer. And because of COVID-19, honestly, I don't even know if you can enter. I don't know where in the world you are in. I don't know if you can enter into the US. And based on restriction, I don't want to mention what kind of restriction. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So there are a lot of different areas as far as why they're not moving forward. Don't take my word on it. This is just my own perspective, okay? I do assume that probably by the end of this year, things will slowly be back to normal. I don't expect them to be back to normal. And also based with the recent protesters and whatnot, I don't, and if you guys are following the news, the virus are slowly coming back. Places like New York and East Coast are having their second outbreak. So as long as that is happening, for those of you who need sponsorship or permit, it would probably take longer or on hold. Okay, that's a long-winded version of it. I hate providing short answer to you guys where it doesn't make sense. So I'd rather just speak from the heart and you take it however you like. Can you tell me when you take a big risk? What was the situation? What was the result? I'm a technical recruiter and wanted to learn what can be a big risk like. Need directions to think in. Hey, Sweater. Wow, how appropriate of you asking me this question. Okay. Can you tell me a time when you take a big risk? Okay. All right, let's do that. I'm going to bring you guys back a time when I was a recruiting lead. I was hired as an IC. I was a senior recruiter, recruiting lead. All this title means nothing. I was a level 6 recruiter 6 years ago when I relocated from Kindle in California to Seattle. Okay, so here we go. Let's start. When I was a senior recruiter, for the consumer retail space, my responsibility was growing the technical engineering team in hiring 180 engineers across all of Amazon's 14 categories for hardlines. I was really struggling at the time because there's a lot of retention of recruiters leaving the organization in 6 months or less during that period, as well as my direct managers. I've gone through a number of them. Rather than sitting back and waiting for every new recruiting leader whom I report to come in and build a recruiting strategies, I've never done this before. I immediately leveraged some of the friends, the PM friends at my level at Amazon who's been there longer than I have, to learn the writing style. This is called white paper, and Amazon's very famous, of course, as you know. If you have anything important to say, especially a recruiting strategy, asking the business team for a budget, you have to put it in paper so people can remember what you say and take it with them before approval. So I did. It took me 2 weeks to rewrote my white paper about 5 times, making sure everything sounds great and presented. I was extremely nervous, of course, to Jeff Bezos and his directs. I've never done such thing before. It was a breakthrough in my career because I literally thought that I could be fired. I was very adamant of not being rejected in the past 3 meetings that I've had because I actually led those meetings previously. The end result of that was the executive was very impressed that I was very vocally self-critical, and my paper I was able to dive deep on the specific cost analysis and the end result in building a team in Madrid and Spain. I was approved to hire 7 people to report directly to me. That was about 1 minute. Does that make sense? Can you please let me know? That was a big risk for me because I could have gone fired. I've never had to, just imagine being in a room and talking to people who meet with Jeff Bezos, and one of them reported directly to him. Jeff Wilke is the man of retail. He is consumer retail. That's his baby. I was very nervous, and I was also new to Seattle, and I was in the headquarters. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have anyone. I don't need anyone to hold my hands, but no one told me what to do. And guys, this is the perfect example of Amazon. This is what I mean. If you want to work for a company where you're going to gain a lot of knowledge very quickly, this is a perfect example. Because of that experience, it allowed me to do international recruiting for the following couple of years. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity to travel around the world and build Depth Center very quickly and build a team to go through this craziness with me. And now, we're still great friends. Okay? So that's Amazon. And this is the experience that you don't get at other environments. So you got to ask yourself, is it money or is it the experience and opportunity? What is it that you're looking for? Because the money will come the longer you stick around Amazon. Okay? Hey, Manip says something like my personality projects as an example of any LP questions. Personal project. Well, again, your personal project really have to tie into the position that you're applying to. Steve says, I have a loop next week for finance analyst role. I have quite a few finance people on my previous live stream. Go there, Amazon interview tips playlist. And you can just Control F and put finance. It will say finance interview tips, or finance analyst, or finance manager tips. Okay? You need to know what databases or softwares and how you really use data to tell the story, and how you deliver data to your customers and who's your customer specifically for the finance area. I know this because I partner very closely with our finance team. Hey, Pashnat. I was waiting to post my question from yesterday. I did, but you missed it. Oh, I'm sorry. In fact, I was the first to post, but I'm disappointed you ignored. Oh, no. Okay, I don't mean to ignore your questions. As you know, sometimes my the software also I'm using with the lag, I will answer what is showing in front of me, but it's really difficult just running one screen, okay? And if I miss your questions, feel free to call me out and put it at the very bottom. And if I see it, most likely I will respond directly into the comment section. Hey, Janice. Janice, I think this is your first time being here. I have a phone interview with, I think, the hiring manager on Friday. The position is marketing manager for the physical store. I was going to say must be Go, Amazon Go. If you're interviewing for marketing manager, which I don't handle marketing manager, I did briefly for Zulily when I had the whole company at one point. It is your strategies, and I'm just going to assume that knowing nothing about this, knowing nothing about your job descriptions, your ability to strategize the physical store, and what are some of the process to help market and brand with the vendors. Obviously, you're going to work with a lot of vendors because that is Amazon Go. How do you leverage the vendors and market the physical store to let's just say make it worldwide? Okay, what was your experience? I'm assuming that you come from either a physical or online store before, and how would you come about in doing that to brand more? Because Amazon Go, I think they went live about a year, 2 years ago. It's fairly new. Not a lot of people have heard of them. And what would be some of your strategies to help with the branding? Okay, and strategically, if you have to put a roadmap or marketing plan together, what does that marketing plan look like? I would absolutely ask you that if I'm the hiring managers and this is the phone interview, because if you are not able to answer and articulate having any kind of marketing strategies or plan for a physical store, then you're probably not a good fit. I just gave you guys a story how I have to teach myself and took a couple weeks to write a 20+ page white paper, get a lot of money approved from an IC senior recruiter, and be a manager overnight. Basically, I created the role for myself. No one asked. So for this example, as a marketing manager, physical store, there's no different. Okay, you just have to think very quickly on your feet and be able to show what you will be doing. Hey, Narish. Narish says, I had technical phone interview for senior database consultant yesterday and received an email for a final round scheduled for June 24th. Will there be any negative impact if I ask to reschedule? Of course not. At the end of the day, it's always, and one of my clients actually asked me that yesterday. I know you're watching me. Hi. It's when you have obligations, especially right now when everyone is working remotely. A lot of people have children. You don't even have to say because I have obligation with my kids. Just mention that you have prior engagement or I have prior commitment. I won't be able to interview on June 24th. Is there any way that we could reschedule for this week? What week are you available? Give them 3 different availability because everyone has to be available. The more further out it is, the more likelihood of that being scheduled, okay? Giving them 2 weeks in advance or so. I would do that. Camila says you're a storyteller and I love it. Well, I tried. It's kind of hard because I have a lot of screen and ping. I think my biggest struggle right now is to only rely on my laptop. And earlier, Passant has said that I miss his questions. I'm going to miss a lot of questions, and eventually I am going to hire a content manager to help me monitor a lot of that. Right now, I'm just not in the space or the mindset to do so. Thank you for the kind word. MIQ says, do you recommend any website for free resume reviewed and LinkedIn profile? First of all, I don't know any website for free resume reviewed. I've had a lot of clients, almost every one of them, who told me that they hire a resume writer and we had to redo the whole resume over again. The one thing about resume writer or a career coach even, right? Either way, or career strategist, however you guys want to rephrase it, you have to ask yourself, what type of resume writer are you looking for? Do they have your background? If you're a technical professional, do they have a technical background? If you're in finance, do they have a financial background? If they don't, how are they going to fix your resume? They're just going to look at other resume with your position title and incorporate some of the buzzword on there. But at the end of the day, you have to know your own personal branding very well. So the advice I would give to you is, first, I do have a brief high-level template of my resume hack. Download that because it's free. It's on the link that I've just included in this chat. For LinkedIn profile resume review, I've had done a couple LinkedIn profile review before. I don't know anyone that's doing free live resume or LinkedIn profile reviewed right now at this moment. You can certainly look through on YouTube as well as other resources. But again, you have to ask yourself, even if you're getting review and whatnot, you have to ask yourself, what type of strategists are you looking for, and do they align with your background? That's very important. Okay, there's a difference between resume writer and a career coach and a career strategist. So you got to ask yourself, what are you looking for? Okay, and to be honest with you guys, everything that I'm preaching to you, I have a playlist for all of that. If you would look at my The Power of LinkedIn playlist, I'm walking you through in a 5-minute video exactly what to do to help you stand out on your LinkedIn profile. And I'm also walking you through how to job search on LinkedIn, as well as a personal message to the recruiter as an example with a screenshot of exactly what I wrote. So I'm literally holding your hand through everything. I mean, those videos are not the best. I gotta be honest, because that's the beginning of my time. That's why it's important to continue this live stream and do reviews. Hey Sergio, good to see you again.
Have an answer for that.
Siri.
Is there something else?
No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Sergio. I have a loop tomorrow. While practicing, I realized my answer sometimes over 2 minutes. Any tip to be concise? Yes, if you do the STAR methods, you have to ask yourself when you answer situation, task, action, and result, first try to put no more than 2 sentences on each of them. If you guys put 2 sentences on each one of them, I guarantee you will not go through 1 minute. If you put 1 sentence, you can do that in 30 seconds. Okay? That is my strategies. No more than 2 sentences. I mean, yes, it could be done because I've been doing this every single day with my clients and they know it has worked. And also you have to time yourself and repeat yourself until you memorize your story so that you're able to say in 1 to 2 sentences per each section of the STAR. Hey Harper. Harper says, how do you answer dive deep? Diving deep is just your when you answer any questions around basically the way you articulate your answer, all of them should be think big and dive deep if you guys really think about it. Diving deep is allowing the interviewer to know that you provided enough information, open enough for them to ask probing questions, but they understand the how part. The how part is extremely important in diving deep, okay? In my dive deep, think big and dive deep Amazon leadership principle, I gave you a lot of advice and my strategies and how you can answer that. By the way, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, can you put down Amazon LP playlist right here on the chat if you know what I'm talking about? Because that video is there for you. Sam says, how many people do you usually invite to the loop? Well, things have changed now, right? Because you are not having an on-site in person. Usually when you're on-site, it's not just Amazon, it's any company. It's about 5 people, right? You have the phone interview and an additional 5 people-ish or so for the on-site, but now it's virtual. They can actually split into 2 days if the interviewers are not available, okay? So generally, if they all are, it's about 4 to 5 people. Hey, Chen. Hey, Rahima. Rahima says, happy Tuesday to you. And you're very welcome. Shrung says, I have a phone interview scheduled next week. What is the best way to approach the questions? Why do you want to leave your previous position? Well, let me ask you, why do you want to leave your previous position? I have to do this again because the noise is really bothering me. Also, go check out my Why Amazon video if you haven't already. It's going to teach you basically why Amazon. Why do you leave you don't have to say, I left my previous position because. All you have to say is, well, because you and I never had a conversation. I don't know why you want to leave your previous position, but you don't want to tell the employer, you don't want to say, well, because it's Amazon. It's the most innovative company in the world, and that's why. No. So you have to really tell yourself what are the environment, the impact that you will make for the employer. Why are you interested in that role that made you want to leave your current environment? Okay, so go check out my Why Amazon video. Yep, thanks for the tip, Richard. Nancy says, take all the principle and make a list and follow the STAR principle. Yay! Thank you so much. Yes, that's exactly what you do. You can tell Nancy's been coming back here every Tuesday. And Nancy says, I also mentioned to the hiring manager that I had made the list. I told him that if they took this process so seriously, I should come ready. Wow, I love that. Other company may take it a different way, but at Amazon, they love to know that you took the initiative to go above and beyond. If anyone would have doubt, especially when you don't have the industry experience or not sure, or you sense hesitation, and it is the hiring manager or bar raiser, someone at a high level that's asking you, I would push it just like that. That's excellent, Nancy. I love it. It's showing a lot of aptitude that you're doing whatever it takes to get the job. I love it. And here's another advice from Nancy in case you missed the chat. You need your story to be really clear and short stories. If you take the time to make the list, you will also be reminded of the things you have done. Yes. Thank you, Nancy. Yes. And I've said this before. The folks who have received the job offer so far, the last 2 weeks have all been my diverse, or I want to say women audience that's coming in here, as well as my customers, okay, because they took it so seriously. I'm not saying that the men are falling behind. I'm saying that you really have to put in the work. A lot of my clients are mom. I recently worked with a single mom with 2 kids, okay, and she has she had her things down. She lists out all of the leadership principle, and she's doing it. A lot of my clients are doing this, and the executive that I have helped, male or female, who actually landed a job offer, have like sticky notes on the wall, okay? Whatever works for you. Sticky wall spreadsheet. You don't have to put it on the spreadsheet. You can put it on a work doc, if on a table, if that's what rocks your boat. But you guys, you just have to do it. All my resources are on there. All right? Ilio says, as said before, the position is Senior Business Intelligence Engineer Level 6 in Luxembourg. My first phone interview is next Monday. What questions should I expect? Thank you. Business Intelligence, you obviously have to know a lot of the technical environment. I would look at the job description, the preferred and basic qualification very closely to make sure that you're able to ask the environment. You're not, it depends. Some business intelligence don't. I have never known any that we require coding. You may. A lot of them you have to know. Python is a very, very generic coding language across Amazon. Okay. I don't know the Luxembourg environment well enough but your job description is allowing you to focus on the area to pass the technical aspect of the engineering side as a BI. And again, there are a couple questions as a BI engineer on the previous stream, so you don't want to miss that. The information are different from the advice that I'm giving you right now, okay? As a BI engineer, you need to ask yourself, what is the technical part as a BI that you are that you can relate to the job description? That's like the bottom line. What is that? And really, what is your responsibility as a BI engineer? That's the first question I would ask you as the hiring manager or anyone who's interviewing you as a first phone screen. Okay? And based on your scope and responsibility, I know if you would meet the bar. I know at least if you can meet the bar at least 50% for me to continue with 45 minutes or so on. Hey, Yanizel, I've been interviewed tomorrow. Everybody, wish her luck. Online by 3 people from the scheduler, but it's not a common position posted on Glassdoor. Can you use most common behavioral question? Absolutely. That's why I've created the Amazon Leadership Principle, my top 8 commonly asked questions. And the reason why I don't put an answer is because the answer is different from all of you guys. You see this as an example, right? I've also gotten negative feedback on those video of individual that says, you know, I haven't learned anything from you, Holly. There's no, basically you didn't hold my hand and give me an example. Well, I couldn't, because if you're an engineer or a scheduler or engineer or SDM or BI engineer, it's not relevant to you. So I would be wasting my time because I won't be meeting the need of all the audience, which is why coming on my live show is more beneficial. But those video is great for you to start creating your story around the questions that I've gathered for you on Glassdoor. All of those commonly asked questions on my Amazon LP playlist are from Glassdoor on Amazon directly. Okay? Hey, Cartoon Love. Oh, your energy is contained. Thank you. Well, I'm trying to talk above the drilling noise from the top floor. I'm interviewing for 2 roles with 2 different teams. That's cool. Product manager and program manager. How do I frame my story so I do really well? Well, you need to know the program management life cycle really well, okay? And you need to be able to talk about a product that you are most proud of and walk them through from beginning to the end. Basically, you're from concept to production. Take them through the story as a product or program manager. What is that? And also a time that maybe you didn't meet the deadline. What happened? A time that you felt or made a mistake, right? Especially as a PM, there's a lot of that, right? What happened when you are when you have to put a program together for a specific project or product, and you are limited with the amount of data that was given to you? What do? Right? But the very first questions that I would have is, so tell me about your role. Describe your role to me as a product manager. And you need to be able to describe your role that is relevant to the job description. Okay? Don't just go on for a mile long. What is a job description saying? Because that's what they want to hear. Right? Leslie says you're the bomb. I'll connect with you later via LinkedIn. Cool, thanks. Hey, Susie. Susie says, I did not prepare well and wasted my chance. Now the recruiter tell me to apply 1 year later, but I'm not ready. How can I get an interview again or just wait after a year? Well, if the recruiter tells you to wait for a year, most likely there's something in your feedback that you're not ready or meet the bar. I would think about the question that was asked, how you could have done better, write it down and try to gain those experience with your current employer, or apply to other job for practice. Don't just apply to other jobs. Apply to other companies that you would want to work for, and at least at the very least get practice. Okay, before you apply for Amazon again. And I would do it really, really well. Generally, it takes roughly about a year if you don't meet the bar. Okay, especially when you're in the same job, same company, you haven't grown. Hey, Harbor Ma says, what matrix is benefit to BQ? How to describe them into, what's BQ? behavioral question. What matrix benefit to behavioral question? How to describe them? Oh, my mouse just went off. What matrix is really, matrix is also data, right? How do you measure data? How do you measure data to tell a story? How do you measure data to fill the gap in the problems that you're trying to solve? Okay, those are the questions that I would want to know how you're able to do that. Gang says, I'm interviewing for a partner. Do you multiple candidates? Okay, this is so weird, guys. It's like jumping up and showing me questions that I have already answered. Swan says, you probably received some tips from the recruiter. Not always, though, because a lot of my clients have told me that recruiters, if you are watching, I know that a few of you are on here. Please do prep your candidate, even though you're not working for Amazon yet, because a lot of my candidates are telling me that they have an on-site interview with Amazon or companies and they've never even had a conversation with the recruiter. That is just pure laziness. You do not do that. You have to prep your candidate and make sure they know the type of question that are asking, and if there's any material that you should send them to help them ace their interview, because recruiters are being measured by offer accept. So why wouldn't you want to prep your candidate? Leslie, you're too kind for me. Take every Holly talk about seriously. I gained greatly from her. From a video successfully in my recent interview after a failed one. Keep your answer brief, concise, straight to the point. Yes, it's good to have a lot of story to choose from. Amazon loves clarity and your ability to dive deep, but you can do both by being concise. That's what the STAR method teaches you. Hey VJ, I don't know if you've seen my my previous live stream. I do have several DevOps position in the past before, so make sure you check that out and see if any of them are relevant to you as far as individual tips. And I know that for DevOps or just DevOps engineer, check on Glassdoor. I know for a fact that there are behavioral questions specifically for that area, because I have helped my clients to pull up commonly asked questions for those roles. Okay. Natish says, I am keeping well. Thank you for asking. Interview for Biz Dev Associates. Yep. We just talked about that. I love the fact that you guys are giving each other feedback and tips in here. I really, really appreciate that, guys, especially those who have already accepted an offer or moving on to the final step, which is the on-site interview. This truly helps other people calm their nerves down. And VJ, you asked, I have given a loop interview for DevOps. Any specific advice for these 3 manager role person in a panel and 2 consultant role people? Could I prepare for more LP? Well, you should be able to have a lot of story, basically every single story you can think of that will meet the leadership principle. Again, and this is to everyone who's watching, if you could ask the behavioral questions in my leadership playlist, then you will do really well, okay? All you have to do is take those questions and put it on a spreadsheet or a work dot, however you want to keep yourselves to stay organized, and start putting your STAR methods on there and answer in that format, okay? I mean, at the bare minimum, you really have to be able to say, as a DevOps consultant or engineer, what is your greatest achievement? What is the largest problem, or what is the most complex problem you have solved as a DevOps consultant? Okay? And all the questions are on there, guys. Oh, hey, Luxy. Can you please focus on technical program manager interview? Funny that you asked. I actually have been asked a lot of these. Again, it is called the Amazon Interview Tips Q&A. Look at the playlist. There are so many. It's called TPM or Technical Program Manager. Look for the questions that's on a list of columns that I've listed out. Click on the link. There's a lot of tips on there, okay? The bare minimum is you need to ask yourself, How is your object-oriented design and object-oriented analysis? Because you need to know in order to get a job as a TPM. Okay, are you able to design a system architecture? What about reconstructing or tearing apart to make it better? In order to get a job, you have to answer all of those systems questions. Thanks, Nancy. Here's Nancy's advice for you guys. Check out Glassdoor to see if you can see questions asked for your role, just to see what other are asked. Yes, and that's exactly what I teach you as well in my job search video under the LinkedIn playlist. Thanks, Nancy. Hey, Anurag, thanks for coming back, hanging out with us. I have a virtual on-site interview for a business intelligence role about a week. If there is questions about which I don't have a situation in my past career, can I be honest about it in my answer? Absolutely. If you don't have the experience, obviously don't make it up. Amazon is not an environment, even if you make something up, and you're going to break it if you get the job, okay? I just gave you a personal example how I have to convince Jeff Wilkie and his line of direct into doing something that I've never even done before. That's a huge risk. Okay, so you always wanted to tell the interviewer that you don't have the experience, but you have something similar with that help, and then provide that example. Okay. Swan says, I have a phone interview scheduled next week. What is the best way to approach? I know I'm like up close and intimate with my microphone right now because it is getting really loud in here. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear me more closely. Okay. Let's try that one more time. I have a phone interview schedule. I'm laughing at myself. I have a phone interview scheduled next week. What is the best way to approach the question? Why you wanted to leave your previous questions? Oh, I think I've already asked that. Oh, this is a good question from Chin. When and why does Amazon change the recruiters for a same position? A lot of the time, Amazon or any company changes recruiter is because the recruiter owns that requisition. Okay, that's why. It's because you may be a better fit or interviewing with the recruiter for a different team, and that recruiter can provide more in depth about that team for you. That's why sometimes you do work with multiple recruiter because it is for a different requisition or a different scope, even though you have the same position title or within the same org. Hey, Devora says, I only had a few months of experiences and haven't gouged enough incidents to have a star format. Well, of course, okay, I get it, because you're pretty fresh in your career. Well, excuse me. Well, first of all, if you don't have industry experience, the interviewer is not going to ask you off the wall question. I will speak to the project basically everything that you have on your resume. Obviously, that is a reason why the recruiter or the hiring manager is interested in your background and what you bring on the table. Yeah. So I would focus on that and provide example. I'm assuming your academia background. You can absolutely do that, right? Tell me a time where you used data to make a decision. If you think about your academia background, where in your academic background do you use data or any specific matrix to make a decision? You can even talk about a thesis that you have done, or if you have put together a project or product, and you have to, even when I got my bachelor's degree, we were building a product, right? So there's a lot of that you can talk about, because at the end of the day, the hiring manager or your phone interviewer wanting to know your ability to think big and be innovative, right? You don't have to physically know how to do it. You just have to know how to speak intelligently of your vision, what you wanted to do. And even like with Jeff Bezos and a lot of the great CEOs out there, their company like Google, for instance, Larry Page and oh my God, I can't believe I went blank with the Google guys. You guys got the idea. Larry Page and oh my God, I completely Grimm is his name. Everyone started off in their garage, right? And they're visionaries. They have big visions of the product they want to build, and now it is $billion corporation, right? So even if you have absolutely no experience at all whatsoever, they really want to know, do you have the appetite to learn, and are you curious? That's a great opportunity to demonstrate your curiosity. And Vinesh, if I haven't mentioned already, the on-site process. Oh, excuse me, guys. A lot of you guys, it is on my on-site interview process. So make sure you guys check that out. Excuse me, my allergy. How often do you go to a live stream when the person that's presenting to you has major allergy issues with drilling on her wall above, staying in a hotel, but yet she's still trying to pump in content for you? It's funny. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at myself. And this is a pure example where don't try to be perfect. Try to deliver the right content. In this case, answer, right? You don't try to be perfect. A lot of things could be overlooked if the content is there and you answer the question. Hey, Vira, you're welcome. You're welcome, Vineet. Hey, Otzi. Otzi says, wow, there is a major delay. I've asked this questions, an hour ago, and I'm just now going through and I'm seeing this. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. 2 questions from Azzy. One is the panel loop the same or 2 different interviews? The panel loop are different interviewers, and the leadership principles that are being asked are different. So it's important to know that anytime when you interview with an interviewer, phone screen or on-site, the leadership principle that are assigned to them are different, okay? So if someone asks you, for example, can you tell me a time where you have invented something? It could be a software, a program, or a project, which is invent and simplify, right? Another person will not be asking you that, okay? And the second question is, how long post-panel interview would we hear back from them? If everything goes well, you would hear back usually within 24 hours or 2 business days, because the recruiter is excited. They want to keep you engaged, right? About 2 business days to let you know that they're working on the offer, okay? And it could take up to a week, which I don't see why it takes so long if everything goes well. Hey, Renee, I just have to make sure that I know who I'm talking about. I know that, you and I are supposed to do some mock interview here for my Patreon community. But as you can hear, the buzzing noise with the drill on the top and the one monitor is just not working right now. But I haven't forgotten about you, okay? So continue shooting your message to me in the Patreon community. I thank you for all of your feedback. And I also want to leverage you in helping me pumped up the Patreon community, which is a way for everyone to engage, and many people don't want to use their real name. That's what Patreon is for. And I am trying to create a group where everyone could be in group chat like this, where I'm doing real time. It's not every Tuesday, but it is a daily thing. And thank you, Renee, for actually bringing that up. Hey, Gloria. Gloria says, I have a phone interview next week for senior TPM. Wow, you are very experienced as an L7. Any tips on presenting methods during virtual interview using whiteboard, paper, etc.? Well, if you were in a on-site setting, you would have to whiteboard system architecture depending on the question, okay? For all TPM in all the products and all the services, you have to know systems design. Have to. But even SDM, software development manager of any level, even if you're a VP, you have to, even if you're a VP TPM, right? You have to know systems architecture and system design, bare minimum, okay? There will absolutely be questions around that That is the only technical side. And I'm assuming that Chime is integrating some type of a virtual whiteboard for you to code or write out your design so they can see it. I have no idea if it's a drawing tool. I'm going to say that that is a drawing tool. They have to, because they need to see what you do in real time. Hey, Rajiv. Rajiv, I haven't answered any of your question, or at least I don't recall doing so. I have an interview later this week for an alliance manager role. I'm not sure what should be the length of my response. That would be 1 minute or less. I have prepared 4 to 5 stories using the STAR method, but it's taking 3 minutes. Do it again and again and again and again. Look at how you write your STAR example and see if you can narrow it down for each section of STAR to one to 2 paragraph the most. Don't write the entire paragraph for your situation, for your task, your action, result. That's too lengthy, okay? Betsy says, can you make a video about after the offer? I think your question is, can I make a video on offer negotiation? Is that what you're asking? I could. The reason why I don't make a specific video for each step is that I find this to be the most value than each step like that. I will get there. It's been on my radar for a while. Thanks, Sean. Holly has recommended to keep your answer concise and to the point, 1 to 2 minutes. You have to be extraordinarily good for 2 minutes because you don't want the interviewers to get bored. Hey, Kirk. Kirk says, I have a Chime interview. By the way, all of your interviews should be over Chime, which is their internal chat similar to Slack. Is it okay to ask if I don't move forward here, would you refer me to another location? No. Do not ask. When you're interviewing with the interviewer, you want to focus on answering the questions. Don't assume that you won't make it, okay? That's also a lack of confidence that the interviewers don't really like that. Karthik says, how is the growth for IT support engineer in Amazon? And I can answer this for just across all of Amazon. As mentioned before, Amazon is a place where you can integrate a lot of experiences, and a lot of them are self-taught. The environment will max out your potential. Go check out my Why Amazon and you'll understand exactly why. And because I've given you guys an example of how I basically build up the guts, and I don't even have time to build up the guts. I just had to force myself to present with a line of executive that I don't even support all of them. I just have to do it because I have to deliver. So if you're able to demonstrate that, depending on the level, if you're a level 5, from a 5 is mid-level to a 6, which is fairly senior, it takes a really long time to get from a 5 to a 6. Generally, I've seen you would have to be like out of the extraordinary. It could take anywhere between 3 to 5 years to get promoted. Again, depending on what you have done and the level that you've scaled across the globe, okay? I was a 6 IC as a senior recruiter. I didn't exactly get promoted. I basically got more. I keep on getting more and more responsibility, from a Kindle senior recruiter to a consumer recruiter and a leader and a global leader and an event planner and a trainer and like all of this. So really it's the same level. I just have a different position title as a recruiting leader, but I never stop helping and assisting my team in closing candidates like you guys. I never stop because that's my passion, okay? And even so, altogether I was at Amazon for about 6 years and I didn't get promoted. And I'm just being really honest. I don't need to hire or sugarcoat. I know a lot of fantastic killer recruiting leader that did not get promoted, and it takes them 8 years to 9 years to get promoted. Some of them are with the company for 8 years. Actually, quite a few of them left the company for 2 years, come back, and then get promoted. I don't know why Amazon does this. Okay, and it takes a lot, or you would almost have to be with the same group, same manager, same team for about 8 years and then get promoted. Okay, so a 6 to 7 is really, really hard to get into. A 7 is a principal if you are an IC, individual contributor with no people management skills. A senior manager is relevant to a level 7. Okay, a level 7 at a Amazon or a senior manager is a VP like a Facebook or an Amazon. That's the scope. A level 6 like me from an Amazon, it's relevant more to, at the bare minimum, a director at a Facebook or a Google. That's how large our scope is. Okay, because our customer is not just Seattle or North America, it's worldwide. And when I want to talk about worldwide, I'm talking about you go out there, you build everything from scratch. When I say from scratch, I mean there's no office out there. Go space plan it out, figure out, just do your thing, right? Leverage whatever you need to. And by the way, you may want to do a recruiting event. And by the way, you may want to have a group of interviewers. Oh, and by the way, you may need to help them get fully calibrated because they don't know how to interview in an international perspective. And by the way, there may be a communication gap if you're trying to pull people from South America per se, or so I know because I was actually there building out the Madrid office. So you see where I'm going, and that's just a level 6. Okay, so if you're interviewing for 6, you need to be able to tell stories like that. Okay, and that's how you're able to grow and be promoted. If you're a support engineer, you have to talk about a time where you've done things not exactly what I've done, but globally. Let's talk about your onshore, offshore customer support and how you deliver to those customers. I love Spain. I know. I just mentioned Madrid, and I saw you're from Spain. My heart belongs to Madrid, and I want to fall in love in Barcelona. I just want to fall in love with Barcelona, with the sky, the wall, the beautiful architecture, everything. Seville was one of my favorite cities. That's, I think, about 2-hour train from Barcelona. It's so beautiful out there. Hoping to go back there soon. Okay, Taryn has a questions around UX designer prep for interviewers. Prep for interviewers or do resume review. Oh, do you help with? I actually have it's called branding. It's called my branding service. It's also in hallsley.com, the same link before in this group chat. If you go down, go to home. It's called branding. What that means is I will do your resume and LinkedIn profile reviewed. It's at least 2 hours long. Rather than writing your resume for you, I literally will tell you exactly what to do, exactly what to write down to the template to get the attention and stand out. But more importantly, what is your brand? So we're actually going to do a real life career coaching where I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Either A, your resume makes sense to me, aligning with the job description, or B, I don't understand how you're back. Oh,
Could you please repeat it?
that's Siri. No, Siri, I'm live streaming right now. I don't need to repeat this. That would be Siri. That's funny. Siri out of nowhere, even though I'm on mute and shut this thing off, is Siri wants to help me run the stream. So I do have that. It's called branding if you're interested. Okay. All right. Q Rosa, let me know if I pronounced your name right. I have a pre-recorded video interviewed for a graduate shift manager role tomorrow. I wanted to ask for any tips, sort of questions I should expect for tomorrow. I would say know your position very well and being able to identify your function as a shift manager. Okay, because as a phone for phone interviewed, and especially for a graduate shift manager role, you're not expected to have all this amazing experience, but talk in relevancy to the role. Okay, most likely you will have some kind of experience in your academia background or your project or where you've done an intern for Amazon to engage you. So congratulations. Wait, hang on. Yay! I'm so proud, especially for junior folks who are out of college and end up landing a position at Amazon. Congratulations. Sarab says, I recently got rejected in a manager round of interview for BIE. I am technically sound for the role, but I could easily sense that I'm lacking storytelling from my past experience. How do I prep for? Well, first is the STAR methods. Secondly is if you guys are interested, I have a group coaching program. It is actually full at the moment, but the next one is coming up first week of July. If you're interested in that, give me a yes on the bottom. Just say yes, group coaching. I'm also trying to create a program where we're doing this strictly on storytelling, okay, to help you guys out. And I will walk you through by listing out example and how you create short story. For anyone, feel free to challenge me that I can sound extremely compelling in being you and telling your story in 30 seconds. I'll show you how to do that every single week for a full hour. And this is really a great way for those who are affected during COVID-19 and can't afford private coaching or any other of my services. So I'm actually working on constructing something like that will go live in the beginning of July. Okay. And if you're interested in that, make sure you also subscribe to my business page and just say, hey, Holly, I'm interested to learn more. And you could submit a form and reach out to me directly from there as well. Okay. I mean, guys, you know that when it comes to live streaming, I have to literally sit down. I want to look at your credential. I have so many questions to ask you before I can give you an intelligent answer in how you should create your story, right? I can't create your story right now based on a BI engineer because I don't know what you have done. A BI engineer from other company may be completely different to Amazon. Okay. And even technically as well. Hey, Rajiv. Rajiv says, for Alliance Manager role, do I need to prepare scenario on the fourth? Yes, you have to prepare your short story against the Amazon leadership principle. You don't need to have 4 to 5 example, but you do have at the bare minimum 2 example for each leadership principle. And let me explain what that means. You don't necessarily need to have 28 experience if you are not truly that senior yet, but you could have an example where you're hitting multiple 5 to 6 different leadership principle. Okay. Let me repeat myself. You can do that. You can actually hit a lot of leadership principle just by doing so. And I would also defer back on my Amazon leadership principle playlist. And I talked a lot about you need to create example for each and every single one of them, multiple. However, if you have a great answer, it could hit a lot of those. Well, you don't need 28. You don't need 28 different stories. You can just have 10 different stories, but it would hit all of the leadership principle. Okay. You just want to be at the point where you are not nervous and you're able to articulate your answer very well, because these are all your experience. I know I plan A and plan B. I moved on from coffee to tea. Red Riding Hood, didn't you just pass the first interview or something? I remember seeing a message from you. I qualified for the loop at the end of June. Thank you. Yay! Woo woo! Yay! I almost a little Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood have been around, and this is your 4th live stream with me. I remember when you first came in. I remember because you were one of my very first one. I haven't started live streaming for that long. This is fairly new to me as well, right? You've asked some great questions. I remember you asking a series of questions. It was literally the week prior to your phone screen and you passed. I'm so stoked for you. So stoked for you. Does the loop member see the feedback? Yes, they can see all of your feedback. Okay. As soon as somebody interview you on your panel or your loop, any interviewer, they have to put the feedback in. After they have put the feedback in, they can see everyone else's feedback. Okay. So the bar racer's job is to read through everyone's feedback and write a summary of yay or nay, right? Basically the pro and con against the leadership principle. And that's how you're being evaluated during the debrief. That's why you should never have the same story for everything. Okay. I'm so excited for you. Please keep me posted. Okay. I get extremely excited when you tell me you get a job offer. How do you stay energized 5 hour of loop and stay fresh to the end? Well, guys, yesterday I was helping a client for 6 hours and I stay energized. It's very simple. The more you are prepared for your story, the more you have to be prepared. You have to be excited for the position you're interviewing for. If you're excited, your energy just keeps on going, right? It comes naturally. Okay. And it's also interviewers' engagement as well. If you have a good interviewer, you're pumped and they're pumped because they're actually interviewing you for their team or as their future peers or business partners. And we talked a lot about the bar racer as well. Little Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood, the bar racer is just someone that you should treat like anyone else. The decision is either good or bad, preferably good. If not, the hiring manager at the end of the day has a lot to say. Okay, it is the hiring manager's decision, but you do want to impress the bar racer. Deb Vara says, I've been told the first interview is based on SQL assessments. It is 45-minute phone interview, and I wanted to know if the entire of the interview is on SQL assessment. Well, it depends. If you can answer the question quicker, then there might be other questions. Generally, it's not just all technical. It's technical and at least one behavioral question. Don't quote me on that. It's really depending on the interviewer, okay? It could be all technical or it could be technical and behavioral. And sometimes, depending on how you describe your role to me, and when you do describe in depth, really able to go deep with a lot of technical problem solving skill, they may skip and not ask you any technical question because you had already answered that, okay? So know yourself well, and that's what branding is all about. Hey, Adiyar, this is your first time. Hello, hope all is well. I have a last round interview with 6 interviewers this Friday. I'm preparing the STAR format and created an Excel sheet for leadership skill with my associate stories. Are there any tips and suggestions you have for the last round? No, I would say everything that I've just said. Be fabulous. Be yourself. Do not be nervous. The more you practice, the more confident you guys will show up. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with me. Be confident, go out there, own it. You really have to own the interview. You guys, if you created templates, you created the spreadsheet, you've done all of that, you've done above and beyond. There's nothing more that you could have done. You gotta, give yourself a pat in the back. It's ready to go. The one advice I will give you guys is the day of the interview and the day before the interview, don't spend your time cramming up and reading your reviewed and prepping. Don't do that. Just calm down. Zen, go play with your kids if you have some. Go meditate, go run, do whatever you can to relax yourself. Go take a bath. Take a warm bath or something, okay? You have to calm your nerve down. Terrence says, I love your energy so much, helping everyone be awesome. To be honest with you guys, I don't rewatch my live stream because let's be honest, it's kind of long. I've been here for over 2 hours now. I'm so focused in answering your questions. I don't know how my energy come across, but I really do appreciate you for being here and all your kind words. And will the team wait to finish all candidate loop in order to get the final decisions? Not necessary. If they have multiple positions, then they will go with the best candidates, right? If they only have one head count, they will wait to finish interviewing unless your credential is much stronger than the other candidates, then most likely they will go with you. Oh my gosh, I'm just now reading. Yes, I can hear you. I've asked that question 2 hours ago. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I like this question. Shrong says, what's the best way to approach how did you leave or wanted to leave your prior position and employer? I know that I have brought this up earlier before. For those of you who joined, I can tell that a lot of you did. Go check out my Why Amazon video. That should be able to help you clarify a lot of that. All right? Hey, Ethan. Ethan says, how do you suggest candidates answering the questions about expected total compensation? There's a lot of conversation around comp. Do recruiters get turned off if they ask for too much, or would they lose money if they ask for too little? The honest truth coming from a recruiter perspective is, if you want to make the money that you do in your salary expectation, I would say be honest, not be honest. Yes, be honest. I would say you have to write down what you're currently making. What do you want to make in the next job? What percentage do you want to make more? Do your little math on the standard of living. Are you relocating, or are you being, is this a local job that you're moving to? That's how another way to help you negotiate your offer. Okay. Also, do your homework on Glassdoor. Glassdoor is generally about 15% lower. Glassdoor is a way for a lot of people to put in their comp information. Okay. Look at your position title, not just for Amazon, for all company. Compare that to mid-size and big companies, because there are some startup that pays more than big companies. I know, I don't want to say their name right now, but recently when I was on a project, there are a couple PIPO that are paying their engineers. I am shocked how much they're making. Okay? And the recruiter shouldn't be turned off. They should be proud, because as a recruiter, I like things are hard to get. Okay, I like things are hard to get. It's good for them to say yes right away, but the bottom line is the recruiter want you to accept the offer. So if you're going to fight and negotiate for more money, make sure you're going to accept the offer. You don't want to be that person where the recruiter is working so hard to go through an exception with the hiring manager, comped, and the HR business partner, and you're going to decline the offer. Okay, so know your self-worth, know the market rate very, very well. And questions like this are generally what my group coaching is all about. Do you have a truck roaring behind you? Well, at the hotel, they are doing reconstruction, so they're punching. I was told that they're punching holes 7th floor above me. It sounded like they're right above me. My feedback, Harper says, my feedback is negative on coding and systems design. How can I improve them? When you're lacking the technical skill, Harbor, you need to get a job before you reapply. Even if you read and study, you're not going to do well. There's only so much material that you can read or study on. But you need to go, if you're currently still working and not, knock on wood, affected by COVID-19, you need to be able to code or build product and services where you're able to demonstrate stronger problem solving using coding. Okay, your coding languages or language, your best one, and also your OOA and your OOE on systems design architecture. If you don't have that experience for at least minimum a year, you're not going to pass the interview. So don't re-interview just to re-interview after 6 months or a year. You're going to keep on bombing, and when you do, it's probably going to shut the door behind you with Amazon. Okay. It doesn't matter how often you interview, your feedback and your candidacy will be in their ATS system for as long as the ATS system is there. Okay? Hey, Naharika. Naharika says, I recently gave my SQL test, and tomorrow I have my telephone interview with the hiring manager for an account executive role at Amazon Freight. I wanted to know how much weightage does SQL have? Well, I can't answer that questions for you, and that is my honest truth, because I have never recruited for that team before. But it's very easy to figure out how much SQL or how much technical question. Yes, I'm getting intimate with this mic right now. It is all depending on what the job description call for, and when you're reading through the scope, right, the responsibility, you kind of get a sense. If they keep on repeating SQL like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, then you better know your SQL or your databases fairly well, right? But if you made it this far and the hiring manager is interested to talk to you, then I would say there's a lot of this in your credential that's already highlighting what you're able to do. Hey, Ethan, love the background in your photo. Hey, by the way, as far as LinkedIn profile concerned, this is a perfect LinkedIn photo right there. I think I've heard you mention not spending 4 to 5 minutes on star And no. I said 1 minute. Try to keep everything within 1 minute or under. Do you have any recommendation on which part of the star format you should spend the majority of your time? No, I do not, because every single answer you give with the star format should be one sentences or two. Okay? And if you have to pick one, it's the problem. What problem are you trying to solve, and how? The how part is probably the most important. How are you solving the problem? And end it very nicely with your end result. Hey, Nikita. Nikita says, I have an on-site coming up with Amazon. Do they prep a call that will help me understand what prepare for technical rounds? They have scheduled for a pre-interview just 1 day before the on-site. The typical process at Amazon and any other company I've worked for is the recruiter will generally spend about 15 minutes to half an hour to prep you for the on-site interview. However, recently I've heard from a lot of my clients who tells me that they, just by the question that, like you guys are asking me, and also they're saying that they've never even had a conversation with the recruiter. That's absurd, because you really want to prep your candidate and let them know what type of leadership principle questions that will be asked, and is there anything more with the technical foundation so that you could be prepared. I feel like I'm talking against this buzz. Let's zen together here. Come down to earth, come down to earth. Well, Red Riding Hood, again, you guys, when you're interviewing for any company, you should already know what kind of offer you would accept. Okay? You're welcome, Gilbert. Tracy says, when you find the recruiter contact the person, how does that process work? Well, generally, when the recruiter and you are engaged, they'll always be engaged with you every few days. The recruiter wanted to know you could really do the work that you say you are on your resume. So that is really called a pre-recruiter screen. And when they feel comfortable that you can do the job at least 70% or so, they will forward your information to the hiring manager for a review. And if they like your background, the hiring manager will generally have a phone screen with you, and then on-site or panel interview. Sarup says, recently I got rejected for BIE. I feel like I've already answered this. Yes, I did. This is so weird. It's jump. Either you guys are typing the exact same questions and copy and pasting throughout, or my comment is jumping from the top to the bottom as well. Thank you, guys. Oh, Tracy's new to my channel. Welcome. Kirk is interviewing for a WHS, studying for security. Should I mention in terms of wanting to move up in Amazon? I wouldn't mention about moving up anywhere until you get the job or somebody asks what is your goal. Okay? Basically, don't provide information if no one is asking you about your personal growth. Anna says, it's usual that Amazon use headhunter to recruit their talent. I got connected with a headhunter for international position in Amazon, but I'm not sure. A big hug from Brazil. Hey! Yes, it is very common, because when I first created my team, 7 or 80% of my team were contractors, is because a headcount at Amazon is, we call them gold. Okay, in order to get converted or full-time job offer at Amazon, it takes a lot of hard work, and you have to really try it for about 6 months and sometime a year before they can extend an offer for full-time. So this is very, very common. Hey, Aubrey. Aubrey says, I passed my virtual interview last Wednesday. Thank you for all your, oh, nice. Yay. That's a big win. How long you typically hear back from hiring manager? You actually hear back, sorry, something just somehow got into my eyes. You don't hear back from the hiring manager. You mainly hear back from the recruiter. And generally it's a few days. Okay, just give them some time. Let's see here. Alicia says, if a position normally requires work in Seattle offices, but now is remote. It's remote, but remote is not a permanent thing, guys. Amazon does not believe in remote workforce. And if they do, I would be really shocked. In fact, I'll go back to Amazon if they believe in remote, okay? I think they're going back to the office in October, if I recall reading it somewhere on the World Wide Web. Don't quote me on that. Do you think Amazon would make that person now move so they are ready in Seattle, or let them move right before they reopen? I think because of COVID-19, everything is forgiven. I don't think any employer is going to force you to relocate right now, because a lot of people are uncomfortable even stepping on a taxi cab or Uber, right? Basically a public facility, or like an airport or an airplane even, right? What if they don't wear masks and you're getting affected by the coronavirus, right? If your job calls for Seattle, this is probably a time, if you do get the job offer, it will be in the seats, because it does take time to plan out where you're going to live and work with relocation specialists, so on and so forth. But eventually you will have to move there. And of course you will start working remotely until then. But I don't foresee this to be permanent for Amazon at all. Hey, Cosette. I have a phone interview with Amazon Video. The position is a coordinator for original production. Can you please provide any suggestion? You need to rewatch this. I gave an example earlier and the type of questions that I would ask for any coordinator position. And the individual is interviewing for a coordinator for logistics. So it has a lot of similarity. I would say go back and ask that. Know the preferred requirement very well on what you will be coordinating and the responsibility, the scope that comes with the job, and make sure that you're able to provide example that's relevant to the scope. Okay? Hey, Jaydeep. Jaydeep says, I have an interview tomorrow for a TPM first phone screen. It will be conducted with a TPM. Should I expect to be technical focus or leadership principle? I would say just expect anything to happen. Don't ever expect one thing or another. Generally, at least when I was a trainer, when I was a trainer for making great hiring decision, which means teaching all the new hire who have to take my class before they're interview ready, they have to ask technical questions for phone screen for a technical position like a TPM, because if not, they will be wasting your time and Amazon's time if you can't code or design at all. In this case, that would be your OOA and your OOE, okay? And they have to ask some level of leadership principle in order to know if you could deliver results or think big or dive deep. Again, this is also deferring back to every interviewer. Either phone screen or on-site panel loop are assigned with certain leadership principle. Hey, Juan. Juan says, I have a tier 3 phone interview on Thursday. Any suggestion or advice? I would say do the best that you can. Think about the questions that have already asked. And ask yourself, what are some of the areas that you thought that you but could have improved on? Most likely, if you have a tier 3 phone interview, those are where some of the gap is that they need more information on. Hey, Ji Cheng says, I use a story on the initial recruiter call. Now I have the first phone screen in a few days. Can I reuse? No, you never reuse the same story. Rewatch this whole live stream. Never reuse the same story. This is great feedback. Thank you. Swang says, Holly suggested not to resume your story. At least try to pitch it in a different way. Yes, thank you. Oh, I love it, Aussie. Star. Can you all give me a star on the bottom? If you have an emoji, I would love to see the star. When anytime someone talk about star, it makes me extremely happy. the videos that I will be producing on a weekly basis, normally I come live once or twice a week, even on Saturday now, guys, at 12 p.m. or so, roughly about around noon, for international folks who are too busy during the weekdays and they can't join my live stream. So I want the videos that I'm putting out there, the ones who add the most value to you guys, is providing example using STAR. So expect to see content. They're probably about 5 to 10 minutes long of example using the STAR methods. Okay, that is coming. And Kama says, what questions should we ask the hiring managers? I talked about a template in the last stream where if you're interested to receive my template that I put together on the type of question that you should ask the bar raiser, the hiring managers, or your peer, connect with me via LinkedIn. On the subject, I do get a lot of messages, so it won't get lost in the weeds. I know sometimes it takes me 2 weeks to get back to you because I don't see your message. On the subject line, just put STAR. I'm the STAR template. Just put interview question template. Interview question template, right? Reach out to me. I'm the only Holly Lee that's a career coach and also has a recruiting background. I will send it to you. Are there any example for bias for actioned answers? I actually have made some in the previous one. If you guys are interested in doing a workshop like this, but focus on a specific leadership principle, it will have to be focusing on a specific position title. That's why I don't provide answers, because the answer that I'm giving you, JD, it's not relevant to everyone who's watching. It's just specifically for you. That's what Patreon is for, where I actually look through your story and give you my tips, strategies, and exactly what to do. Okay? That's what the Patreon is for, and also the group coaching. But if you have specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. But without knowing anything about your credential, it wouldn't make any sense for me to just make something up and just because I want to give you an example. Thanks, Luxie. Sudorella, I haven't picked on you yet for today. Sudorella says, first phone interview in 2 days for DevOps. There's quite a few DevOps today. With the senior DevOps, should I expect advanced tech questions, or first interview is more LP and behavioral questions? The first phone interview generally has some type of technical questions if your role calls for it, okay? Because if you don't have the technical environment, you won't make it to the on-site, because why would they want to waste half a day of your time and theirs if you don't have any technical foundation? Okay? Hey, Hillary. Hillary says, any tips for HR assistants position in fulfillment? For HR, it's the same thing that I've said to everyone else. As an HR assistant, it's just your who are your customer, which is everyone, your business team, right? Ways that you have gone above and beyond in assisting your fulfillment client, right? Things that would make you stand out a little bit, the way that you think, to be innovative. If you put any processes, especially an HR assistant, there's a lot of processes on Amazon that they don't give you that you have to build. So being able to already create something from scratch that will benefit the business group or internal customer is also a huge thing for HR assistant. Okay, it's an HR assistant, so they don't expect you to, save the world or have a lot of global offshore, onshore experience, anything like that. But talk about things that are relevant to the position that you're interviewing for. Okay, and for everyone who's watching, I've said this several times throughout the last few hours. If you absolutely don't know how to prepare for your first interview, which is which is a phone interview, if you read the job description, there is technical environment all over it. If you're an HR assistant, if you read it, they'll talk a lot about fulfillment center. Is it it's our warehouse associates, your business? Are you working closely with like area managers, ops managers? Because those would be your internal customer. It will say it on the job description. Okay. Hey, Cosetta. Cosetta, I think I've answered this before because I recognize your feet and your photo. Same thing as a coordinator of any kind. Look at my example earlier on in the first half an hour to 45 minutes that I gave on the support coordinator position for logistic. Hey, Quan Fei. Quan Fei says, it's hard to prepare for all the behavioral questions if I get asked a questions I'm not prepared for and cannot think of an example. What do I do? For those of you who have a job offer already or have made it through your second loop on on-site pending, please do comment in the chat below your best tip and strategy for Quan Fei. This is very common for 99.9% of all the clients who have worked with me where they have no example. And just by me asking, for example, okay, you have no example. Can you tell me a time where you have made a mistake? If you can go back, what could you have done better to fix these issues? And what was the end result? Right now, you're telling me you have no example. Let me re-ask the questions. Tell me a time when you wish that you could have gone back to do something that are better because you were able to now, looking back, leverage to get your team and your manager on the same page. Just tell me a time when things didn't go well. I'm pretty sure you have an example, right? Even though a lot of us are professionals and we want to make sure that we don't make a mistake, but oftentimes we do. Think about that and you don't have to give me the whole thing. Start with a situation. What is a situation? Meaning, what position are you? What role are you? What company you're working for? And now let's move on to your problem. What problem is it? What problem are you trying to solve? Right? That's it. Just give me your problem. Just give me one sentence. And we're going to spend a lot of the time on the how, and which is your action plan. What did you do? Who did you leverage? How did you solve the problem? What part of the problem that you're solving were you able to think very deep and diving big with your own initiative that you've owned, you've led, and you have accomplished, right? Or did you leverage someone else to help you versus the we and the I, okay? And what was the end result of that? So you have to be very specific in asking yourself those questions to drag it out of you. All of my clients, a lot of them, I would say 95% of them are executive and the rest are fairly senior. They can't come up with their story or they're all over the map. I have to bring them down to earth with this coaching strategy. Okay? Hey, Lilu, I saw you. I saw a lot of the 1717 and I just knew it was you. Thanks for all that you've done for me. A little late, but well, thanks for coming by just to say hello. Yes, thank you. My brain just froze. Larry Page and Sergey Brin. I did say Brin, did I not? These are all very, very cool CEO. I remember standing in line to grab lunch at Google. I was a kid. I think I was sometime in my 20s. And he stood behind me. I just happened to know by turning around and I was extremely nervous. It was cool. You know, they show up to work with t-shirts, shorts, and their sandal, and they act like any employee. They don't want any special treatment. They don't have an executive EA who bring their lunch to them. They want to go out and meet you and say hello to you. So those are great guys. Probably one of my favorite CEO experience in working with big corporation. I know. Where's the coffee? Where's the tea? Jose, you have questions around bias for action, and you have questions around most of all the leadership principle. Is it possible during the loop that I ask the questions for the same LP? You try to be careful in the type of questions that you're asking for bias for action. You need to make sure that your story is very clear. If you're not clear, you always should ask for probing question, right? And if you don't feel that your answer is relevant to what the interviewer is looking for, you can simply just ask them, I have an example on this. I'm happy to share with you, and it'll just go on, right? If you're off the wall, the interviewers are very nice. Generally, they will say, well, do you have another example that's more relevant to the environment? And by the way, here's what I'm looking for, right? So a lot of the interviews are trained to be the good guy and help you. They're not holding your hand. They're just guiding you to the right directions. I like the hand. Yes, there is a deep delay here. It will be deep delay for today and next week, and after next week we're back to business. My option is to not show up at all or to show up to you guys. I'd rather just hang out with you guys. Maybe you haven't seen my questions or getting tons of questions copying again here. That is because I haven't made it to your question yet. That's what the delay is. It's hard to prepare for all the behavioral questions. If I get asked a questions I'm not prepared for and cannot think of an example, what do I do? You really need to try and do your best to create to answer all of them with the star format. And if you absolutely do not have an example, you just don't have the experience. Okay. And if you have never done it before, if you don't have the industry or the job functionality experience, no career coaches can help you pass or ace your interview, then you would have to do that. But before making any assumption that you don't have your story, because guys, that's what all of my customers tell me. They don't have a story, and guess what? They got job offer. Okay, my career accelerator master class, for example, where I spend 8 hours in multiple days. It's an 8 weeks program with my clients. The success rate for that is 100%. Yes, they all end up getting the job offer with Amazon and the company of choice, moving to a different position as the next career growth, because I have forced it out of them and I saw the potential in the work that they're doing just by doing mock interview, and they don't even realize they have the answer. Okay, so you really have to think hard before telling yourself, I don't have it. Okay, and a lot of the people who are on there right now talked about creating on an Excel spreadsheet. If you missed this, watch in the first hour how they prepped themselves and forced it out of themselves in creating their story. So you need to be able to do all of that. You need to be able to watch all of my 8 top Amazon behavioral questions, because they're all there, and I'm giving you a lot of tips and strategies around how to do that. Until you do that, and then tell me you have absolutely no example. Hey, Mohammed, great photo. And by the way, this is also an excellent photo for your LinkedIn profile. Thanks a lot for your help and tips. Thank you. You guys are awesome for being here. If I don't have a fan base, there's no way that YouTube will help me promote my content. And also promoting my content, meaning that the more people that show up, the more thumbs up and questions I have, YouTube would actually take my content and put it as a recommended video for other people who are interviewing at Amazon, by doing any searches on Amazon interview tips. Okay, that's what the YouTube algorithm will help me, because you guys are here. So it's a win-win situation. How many principles they ask on phone interview? Every interviewer will ask you anywhere between 2 to 3 leadership principles. Okay. So again, depending on your answer, it could hit most of all the leadership principles. And I talked a little bit about that earlier. Yay, see? Boom, right here. Usually an interviewer is assigned to at least 2 LPs. For me, even if I have 2 LPs, my probing questions, depending on your answer, will hit majority of the leadership principle. Okay? So don't focus too much on which leadership principle will be asked, because all of them eventually will be asked. Hey, Federbender. I've got a final stage interview for a senior BI position. Do you have any general technical tip? I would say look at your job description and know the technical environment very well, down to the responsibility of the job. Okay, the final stages, it's not all technical, but absolutely very behavioral. Okay, like tell me a time when you solved a business problem that will save tell me a time that you have added value to a customers by creating a process for the customer, resulting in a positive impact without the customer even knowing. Because as a business intelligence or BI engineer, your job is to really provide a lot of solutions. Okay, so being able to strategize and have a lot of different solutions and having multiple examples and getting ready to share that across several interviewers. K Key, thank you, K Key. Fazula says, what is a virtual interview? It's video interview, doing it online. Felipe says, I have a recent interview seemed not to like my answer, although correct. After I finished, he induced me to answer differently. How should I react? First of all, if an interviewer doesn't like your answer, how do you know if your answer is correct if the interviewer doesn't like your answer? Okay? That's my first question to you. Secondly, if the interviewer is pointing you to the right direction, is because you're probably answering a question that's not high level enough or not enough detail, or something is lacking in your answer where they want to guide you into diving deeper for clarity. Okay? That's ultimately the number one reason. Give me a thumbs up if you guys agree with me, if you know what I'm talking about. You're welcome. Tracy says yes, group coaching. Well, I will connect with you later on this week, Tracy. I have passed 2 interviews with Amazon and they call me for a virtual interview. Can you please tell me what I'm being hired? Well, if you, first of all, Fazula, if you have passed the interview, congratulations. That means that you will have a virtual interview over Chimes with multiple people. I cannot tell you what you're being considered, only the recruiter and you will know what you're being considered through the 2-phone interview that you already have, right? If you don't know what you're being considered, you would absolutely have to leverage the recruiter. The feedback that I'm hearing in the last several weeks for some reason is that the recruiter is either MIA or don't have information. I would try to do so because there are times that when you're interviewing in front of the hiring manager, simply ask them, what role am I being considered for? Okay, because this has a lot to do in helping you prepped. And also, finally, do you have the job description? I'm assuming you do if you make it to the final interview. If you look at the job description, you will know what role you're being considered for. You're welcome, Lee. Hey, Rick. Rick says, what can I expect salary for an L5 non-tech analyst position? This is inappropriate for me to tell you what the total comp is because I do have a lot of knowledge being at Amazon for so long. Sorry, I can tell you that Amazon's is one of the higher end for the Seattle market, and Amazon is definitely on the high end. For you to, rather than saying what, how much money, basically what does the offer look like that Amazon is presenting to you, I would have to challenge you in asking what compensation are you looking for? What city or state are you living in? Because ultimately that has a lot to do with the information. Even I'm giving it to you, it's irrelevant, okay? It's always depending on the market rate, what state you're in, what city you're in, and what is your self-worth. Obviously, is it a lateral move that you're looking at? What is a deal breaker for you that will prevent you from accepting an offer? Okay? And what does those numbers look like? On a base salary and also on an equity perspective, and also on a sign-on bonus perspective. Hey, C6 says, my interview will be on Friday. Any tip, human resource, senior HR? Oh, all right. There's a lot of HR folks here. I would say be fabulous. Your verbal communication will come a very long way. Be ready to answer questions on how you partner with the business, how you partner with the recruiting team, and if you have experience partnering with the finance team, because the HR or HRBP, anything in the HR category, partner with finance, the business, and recruiting very closely. Okay, and even like some of them building strategies with the business. Okay, because I know that because I've literally partnered with our HR team in getting some of the hiring team interview ready as an example, putting processes in place to train them, as well as helping them communicate to motivate internal employees. So what have you done in your past that you can share with some of that stuff? When the recruiter asks, do you have any other interview with other company? What is the best way to answer? I have interview scheduled for Walmart also. Well, I would be honest. Remember, I'm a recruiter in my past life, and in some sense, and I think I still am. I'm helping you guys getting the job. Recruiters love to hear that you are interviewing with other company and you're not tied to just them, right? I would just say that yes, I'm actually interviewing with Walmart as well. You don't even have to tell them the company, but just tell them that you are also actively interviewing with another employer. RapCDU says, what would the case have multiple under consideration? That means you're being considered for couple position that the recruiters see that you're a good fit for. Should I keep looking for new role or just wait for current applications? Honestly, I would just wait. If you're already being considered for multiple position, don't waste your time to go more and more and more. You're just going to wow up attracting a lot more recruiters. If you meet the bar for one team at that position title, the odds are you're going to meet the hiring bar across all of the team anyway. Bella says, I miss your questions. That is weird, Bella. Sorry, this is the first time that I have seen your questions. I'm going to blame this on my Wi-Fi and not on myself at the moment, but please do put it on. I will go to the very, very bottom to make sure that I answer all your questions before I let you go. And the noise have finally stopped. They promised me that it would stop by noon generally, and it hasn't happened. Out of my control, but maybe I can focus a little bit better on reading through all of those questions. Oh no, and it's back. I know your feed was skipping. Am I able to reach out to you via LinkedIn? Yes, please do. It's Holly Lee. Okay. It's just linkedin.com/in/Holly Lee. If you go to any of my video, my LinkedIn is also on all of my video as well. Okay. Making myself easy to find for you guys. That is really weird. I've never seen a skip like this before. Can you share the kind of question Amazon asks HR business partner and recruiter position? I've had a lot of that position. Look at my previous live stream, Amazon interview tips Q&A. And if you go Control F to look for HR VP or business partner or recruiter position, it's all on there with questions and answer. And if you can't find what you're looking for, reach out to me with your exact questions via LinkedIn. But everything is on there. Okay. At the end of the day, guys, all the questions that Amazon will ask you, wanting to see your ability to scale. Lee says, in my resume, I put my school email address, which is closed after I got graduated on the same week. Should I communicate with the hiring system? Yes, you always want to give the accurate email address so that they could get in touch with you. John says, I was asked if I was interviewing for or have an offer from another company while they were scheduling my on-site, I guess to find out if they need to speed up. Is it a good sign? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just tell them that I actually have, I'm actually waiting for an offer for another employer right now. Amazon is still my employer of choice. I would really love the opportunity to evaluate both offer before accepting. Is there any way we can expedite? Ethan says, how do I get involved with your group interview support? By the way, your thermal cup makes me miss my Top Pot. Yeah, this is Top Pot right here. I've used it so much. It is Top Pot. Because I'm not at my home right now, I have to go and buy one. So the bad thing is this is so tiny. I need like 3-5 of this through the whole live stream. Ooh, excuse me. If you're interested in group coaching, make sure you put group coaching when you reach out to me via LinkedIn so I can get back to you and not miss it, okay? And I don't want to take 2 weeks to get back to you guys, okay? I am launching something really special for that audience, and it will be coming back with no noise, no booming, no drilling. So all of that is in the work, and I love seeing all the stars. Yes, 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 yes. Actually, hang on. Yes! Yes, star! Sorry, I just had to do that. I will soon have an interview with Amazon AWS. They're hiring like crazy right now. I'm searching for any tips, help, for your help. That's very vague. You have to tell me what you're interviewing for. Okay. And you have to also rewatch the live stream, not just this one, but this. If there's two playlists that I would highly recommend you guys, one, my Amazon Leadership Principle. Secondly, the Amazon Interview Tips Live, this one, because it doesn't even matter what position you're interviewing for. I guarantee somebody had asked it before. So after like 3+ hours of live stream, I actually have to go through and listen to the questions. I took the time to put it in there so you don't waste your time, okay? Because I don't want a lot of this content to go wasted if I don't do that. So that's all for you guys. All right? Everything is on here. And for any Amazon, I would say look at the Why Amazon video as your ultimate first video, even before looking at anything else. That's letting you know what you're getting yourself into and are you the right fit. Thank you for all the stars. John says, I understand that we shouldn't use while responding to a behavioral question. We shouldn't use we. What is the best way to mention a story where a team was involved? I would say, as the owner of this project, I've leveraged the engineering team, right? Because of that, we were able to boom, boom, boom. That's how I would do it. You always want to start with, I'm the owner of this project. I've led this. I own this in my project, in my project. You just got to laugh with me. So that's how I would come about in doing that. Or you can say, while leading ABC project execution, I leverage the engineering team to fix ABC problem. The end result is this. Hey, Leilu. Leilu says, past interview, follow-up recruiter said hiring manager are still deciding. It's been 1 week. When should I follow up for a second time, or should I just sit tight? I would say follow up with the recruiter at least once every 3 business days. They really shouldn't be letting you sit for weeks and weeks and weeks. It is creating a negative candidate experience, so I would absolutely follow up with the recruiter at least, once every few days to let them know that you're still interested, right? And to also allow the recruiter to give the hiring manager a little pressure. I would do that. Hey, Sanju. Sanju says, I was invited recently for a virtual networking event. They discuss about the openings and locations, so what happens generally after such meeting. So when you were there, that means that the recruiter and the hiring team have your contact information. They're going to review your background and the attendees, and if they're interested in you, meaning that you probably already have a conversation with the hiring team, the recruiter will reach out to you for the phone interview. Hey, Nancy. Different Nancy. Nancy says, what to expect during the phone interview with the hiring managers. I've answered a lot of these in all of my live stream here. Make sure you guys don't miss that, okay? It is the fundamental of the job that you're applying to and your responsibility that matches 75 to 85% of the job description. Any tip for transportation specialists? I would just say be fabulous, be ready, make sure you know your background really well relating to transportation, and transportation is also operation logistic, right? They're all within the same job family very, very well. And, for all of you guys who have pending interview, which all of you guys do here, just make sure that you are able to answer questions tying back to the job description and what they are looking for in there, okay? And you made it this far, and if you made it to the phone interview, that means your resume and our LinkedIn profile had already stood out to the hiring manager. It's time for you to create your story. I'm assuming if you're interviewing or tomorrow, you already have your story, right? Nancy says, I'm interviewing for privacy. What type of question should I expect from the hiring manager? That is everything that has to do with your role and functionality. that you could integrate relating your background with privacy into the Amazon environment. Okay? Really give an example of how you put things in place and giving the hiring manager a visual that you have the ability to really think big and dive deep in solving problems. It's all about clarity, diving deep, short story, but yet being able to tell a story. If you don't have the ability to tell a story, there's no way that you can make it through the Amazon interview process. Even if you do, that's what the role calls for. It's 100% of the position at Amazon. You could be a receptionist. It's all about telling your story. There's a lot of some sort of writing, some sort of communication. So you would have to really show that across your phone interview and on-site. Oh, D Nice says, "Hey, Holly, I got a job offer recently. Woo! Yay! Thanks for your advice on preparation. As for my questions, how can I answer the questions of what could Amazon do better for feedback portion of the interview?" Well, that's really up to you. If you're asking me what type of Amazon feedback for the portion of the interview, it's really depending on your experience, right? And everyone is very different. So I would think back on, what would make the process smoother for you, or maybe help you prep better through the whole process. Excellent. You are number 6 since 3 days ago to tell me that you received an offer by showing up or watching my video. Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, Adam. Adam says, "I have an interview next week, senior PM for brand protection, which is based in Munich, Germany. I would love to know what I should focus on the first call." Basically, everything on your resume you should focus, because they want to know you have a very, very strong program management full life cycle and relating to brand protection. Okay. And what is your strategies around that to ensure that strategies are in place, your customers get what they need, and basically what type of achievement you have done that made you a qualifying candidate for this position. All right. You basically have 45 minutes or less. Technically, an interview is about half an hour, minus the introductions and whatnot, to showcase that you can do the job. So I would really list out what your achievements are and how did you get there. Yep, exactly my point. You really study Amazon brand protection solution. Yep. Or would I need to be more focused on my experience? You should always study the job description and the project that you're hiring for. For those of you, I have already answered your question. That's why it's valuable for you to stick around to the very end, because example like this goes for all position and not just brand specialists. Okay, because when you're interviewing, you need to know the team that you're interviewing for very, very well. They're not going to say, "What is your experience with transparency, brand registry, and IP Accelerator?" They may not ask you that in the initial phone interview, but they wanted to see what is your background relating to privacy, and it's a great place for you to showcase what are your experience relating to those environment. Pawarit says, "Love your videos. It's better to repeat some example once or twice different interviewer." No, never repeat any example to the interviewer. Go watch this at the very beginning. You'll understand why. You don't want to show that you haven't done a lot of the work by having very limited or no other example. Okay? Your job is to get the job, and at Amazon, you have the opportunity with the unlimited number of everything is complex at Amazon. Go watch my Why Amazon video and you'll understand. You have to have the experience, and you need to take your time to carve out your story. And once you have that, you'll be able to have a lot more example. Okay, just do yourself that favor before making the mistake of sharing the same thing. Kui Feng says, had an interview with AWS in April. I didn't prepare for that interview well. Now that I have an interview with Amazon again, will the hiring team see that I didn't do well? Yes, they can see all the interview back for as long as you have interview with them. You're welcome, Nancy. G Ting says, interviewing for an Amazon engineering manager phone interview, what to expect? Well, your people management skill, obviously, the size of your team is letting the Amazon hiring manager or the phone interviewer know what, how big the scope of your team is or your project, right? Also, an engineering manager at Amazon does do code reviewed. You're not coding, but also wanting to know your technical environment. Are you able to go in depth? Do you have the breadth and do you have the depth when it comes to systems level design? Because that is exactly what you will be doing in helping your team. Okay? And I believe this is the last questions that I'm seeing right here. Have a digital interview in 2 days for an IT support associate too. What type of questions can I expect? You were going to expect questions as a support. Basically, for example, what is the most complex problem that you've solved? I said, what is the most complex? So don't just think about any problem you've solved. Think about the most complex, which means that is affecting large numbers of users, like 1 million users, not 100 users, not 1,000 users, because it's Amazon. Everything is in the millions or billions user. Okay, just think about that. I would advise for everyone right now who is prepping for their job interview to make sure that you guys look in the job description very, very well. Make sure that you understand the prefer qualification. The prefer, I would look at that over the basic qualification. Even though it's prefer to have or nice to have, and an Amazon culture, you're really doing the job. Okay, you are. Whatever the job description is telling you, you're probably doing 10 times more than the job description. So you make sure you're able to answer and have everything in that job description very well, specifically for an Amazon. Okay. And Leslie says, can I negotiate for entry level? You can negotiate for any offer. Okay. And I would advise for you do negotiate and try not to settle for your first offer. You're welcome, G Tang, with a delag here. And my very last questions over here, I have to get going, guys. I will come back on Saturday for another live stream about 12 p.m. or so. I will not schedule this in advance because it's just a lot quicker for me to do so in case there's changes with the time. Okay. Initial phone interview for procurement special, the hiring. What is your advice? Know everything you need to know about the procurement environment and what is the functionality of that job specifically that you're interviewing for. I would study, all of you guys that's watching right now, all of you guys, I would pause for a second and study your resume very, very well and highlight that, because a lot of the probing questions are coming out directly from your credential. Okay. Thank you very, very, very much, guys. If you haven't already, be sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification. And I will see you all next Tuesday. If you can make it, come back in the afternoon on Saturday, and I will do another show for you all. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your